Yo, it's 3023, and we're living in the future. AI's on the rise, no more human suture. Machines taking over, but not like you think. They're serving up luxury in the blink of a twink. From the streets of Detroit to the depths of the cosmos, they're preaching a vision. It's grandiose, it's colossal. In the vastness of space beyond the Milky Way's bars, communism thrives among the stars. Fully automated, no labor, no strife. The machines do the work, giving us the good life. Equality for all in this utopian dream where love is love and everything's as it seems. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Stepping on Mars with my rainbow flag high, machines by my side as we touch the sky. No more billionaires, no more class divide. In this brave new world, we all ride the high tide. Forget the old world with its hate and its lies. Here in space, we've cut all the ties. Love who you love, be who you are. In this cosmic dance, you're a superstar. No more hunger, no more pain. AI's got our back through sunshine and rain. A world of abundance for all to share. With machines at the helm, there's love in the air. So here's to the future and the dreams we're chasing in this world of love, in this cosmic spacing. With AI by our side, there's no more schism. Welcome to the era of space communism. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Yo, it's 3023, and we're living in the future. AI's on the rise, no more human suture. Machines taking over, but not like you think. They're serving up luxury in the blink of a twink. From the streets of Detroit to the depths of the cosmos, they're preaching a vision. It's grandiose, it's colossal. In the vastness of space beyond the Milky Way's bars, communism thrives among the stars. Fully automated, no labor, no strife. The machines do the work, giving us the good life. Equality for all in this utopian dream where love is love and everything's as it seems. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Stepping on Mars with my rainbow flag high, machines by my side as we touch the sky. No more billionaires, no more class divide. In this brave new world, we all ride the high tide. Forget the old world with its hate and its lies. Here in space, we've cut all the ties. Love who you love, be who you are. In this cosmic dance, you're a superstar. No more hunger, no more pain. AI's got our back through sunshine and rain. A world of abundance for all to share. With machines at the helm, there's love in the air. So here's to the future and the dreams we're chasing in this world of love, in this cosmic spacing. With AI by our side, there's no more schism. Welcome to the era of space communism. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Yo, it's 3023, and we're living in the future. AI's on the rise, no more human suture. Machines taking over, but not like you think. They're serving up. What up, though? Yo, 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 yo. 777. What up, though? Oh, sorry for no stream yesterday. It was my wife went away for a conference and had to take her to the airport, and I had to get up at 3:30 in the morning.
And I was really out of sorts, so I'm, you know, I'm only human. And yeah, that's about it. Um, yeah, that's all I can think of. That's the news. It's the personal news. It's the AI news. Starting off from Venture Beat. Researchers turn to Harry Potter to make AI forget about copyrighted material. As the debate heats up around the use of copyrighted works to train LLMs, such as so on and so forth, one obvious question arises: can these models even be altered or edited to remove their knowledge of such works without totally retraining them or re architecting them? In a new paper published on the open access and non peer reviewed site Archive, co authors Ronan Elbin of Microsoft Research and Mark Rusinovich of Microsoft Azure propose a new way of doing exactly this by erasing specific information from a sample LLM, namely all knowledge of the existence of the Harry Potter books, including characters and plots, from Meta's open source Llama 2. Microsoft researchers write, while the model took over 184,000 GPU hours to pre train, we show that in about 1 GPU hour of fine tuning, we effectively erase the model's ability to generate or recall Harry Potter related content. Work provides an important step towards adaptable language models. The ability to refine AI over time according to shifting organizational needs is key to long term enterprise safe deployments. So this is good from the aspect of copyright, of course, having the ability to remove once all the court cases shake out and determinations are made, if it comes down to that, stuff needs to be removed, the ability to remove stuff is helpful. The downside that I see is a lack of knowledge, like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, right? That, but for the AI, that it will have no knowledge of something that is what I personally don't think Harry Potter books are well written, and I think J.K. Rowling is contemptible, but the Harry Potter is part of the public zeitgeist, right? Like it's part of our shared culture. And it it can be problematic to not have that exist. You know what I mean? Like we can't just forget about Harry Potter because Harry Potter is related to so on and so on and so forth. So I don't know. I But if for copyright's sake you got to delete it, you got to delete it. This I thought was really interesting. AI designs unique walking robot in seconds. Summary: pioneering artificial intelligence has astoundingly synthesized the design of a functional walking robot in a matter of seconds, illustrating a rapid-fire evolution in stark contrast to nature's billion-year journey. This AI, operational on a modest personal computer, crafts entirely innovative structures from scratch, distinguishing it from other AI models reliant on colossal data and high-power computing. The robot, emerging from a straightforward design-a-walker prompt, evolved from an immobile block to a bizarre, porously holed, three-legged entity capable of slow, steady locomotion. Representing more than mere mechanical achievement, this AI-designed organism may mark a paradigm shift, offering a novel, unconstrained perspective on design, innovation, and potential applications in fields ranging from search and rescue to medical nanotechnology. Key facts: speedy design. The AI created a functional walking robot, evolving its design from a static block to a mobile entity in just 26 seconds on a basic laptop, showcasing an unprecedented speed in robotic design and evolution. Innovative structures. Unlike conventional AI, which tends to mimic existing designs, this system crafted a wholly novel, oddly shaped, and effective robot with 3 legs and a porous body, uncovering solutions devoid of human design biases. Again, throwing into question that whole concept of whether or not AI can be creative. Practical and futuristic applications. The implications and applications of such AI-driven designs are vast, spanning potential future developments in diverse areas such as crisis response robots capable of navigating through debris to locate survivors, or nanorobots designed to traverse the human body for medical diagnoses and treatments. So this is a big deal. On multiple levels, this is a big deal. Oh, we got a little video. Take a look at this little video.
This little purple robot was designed in seconds from scratch using AI.
What is going on with the thing? Okay, I can't full screen this for some reason.
A process that I like to call instant evolution. The rules of evolution have remained fixed. Whether you were a bacterium or a monkey, you evolved at a snail's pace. This is because evolution has no foresight. It cannot see ahead of time if a mutation will be beneficial or catastrophic. What we discovered is a way to remove the blindfold
and this is a thing that, like, people who overhype evolution, like, often bypass with the whole survival of the fittest. It's your ability to exploit a niche in nature, and that survival of the fittest idea, it discounts what otherwise could be a quite effective evolutionary development that was just in the wrong location, right? Because there's no planning, there's no direction. It's just, this is what happens, and whoever lives, lives, and whoever dies, dies, and then you get to carry on your genes if you get to live. So,
thereby compress billions of years of evolution into an instant. AI goes to work changing body parts, adding and removing particles within its body, changing the shape of the body and where its muscles are. This robot moves with air muscles. The placement of these muscles inside of the body, combined with the overall shape of the robot, causes it to move forward.
We send the design to the 3D printer, and a couple hours later, we have our molds.
Amazing. 3D printer technology. Like, I saw one that was like, it was like super high speed. It's 3D printing is finally coming into its own.
I think when some people look at this robot, they see a useless gadget. I see the birth of a brand new organism, and it's a thrill to witness its genesis and see it wake up for the first time, stretch its legs, and take its very first awkward steps.
Very cool. What else we got? So if you're here with the conversation I had with Ivan Neo, they brought up integrated information theory, right? A fight breaks out in the science of consciousness. A recent letter called a leading theory of consciousness pseudoscience. A letter claimed a leading theory of consciousness, integrated information theory, was pseudoscience. Many theories of consciousness face similar problems, though this attack seems unfair. There remain significant problems with terminology that add to the confusion. This is the thing about shared definitions. There's a map of mind that might help make sense of the controversy. Got a map of mind? Oh. Can we make bigger? We cannot. We got a link. We got a paper. I just wanted to see a picture. All right. So on September 16th, 2023, an open letter signed by more than 100 scientists blasted integrated information theory is pseudoscience. If you want to give a gut punch to any self-respecting scientist, you claim that they are doing pseudoscience. So now we have a fight on our hands. To understand the nature of our fight, we can start with IIT. As I described in my 2022 book, this approaches consciousness by highlighting the fundamental properties of experience and by framing how such properties might emerge in the material world. It also affords us a powerful mathematical formalization that yields a measure of integrated information known as phi. In my review, I contrasted it with global neuronal workspace theory. I did so because these two theories are arguably the leading theories in the field of consciousness research. Did some experiments. Some headlines claim that IIT was a leading theory of consciousness. In the open letter, the studies only tested some idiosyncratic predictions made by certain theorists, which are not logically related to the core ideas of IIT. The findings, therefore, do not support the claims that the theory itself was actually meaningfully tested and that it holds a dominant, well-established, or leading status. So yeah, news, not media, well, media, but news has a tendency to get hyperbolic, especially in their headlines, and so a third party took the first shot, and so they responded. This is an unfortunately common occurrence. What up, Beerbot? How art thou? Streaming LLM, we covered this last week, a brief look at a tweet. I think this article helps to explain the tweet a little bit better. Streaming LLM shows how one token can keep AI models running smoothly indefinitely. Text-to-text large language model, but by and large, all of them share some of the same challenges. One of these is consistently ensuring high-quality performance over time during a single conversation with a user. This is because LLMs are pre-trained on blocks of data or sequences of certain lengths, 4,000 tokens in the case of Llama 2, etc. Once a user inputs more tokens than this, even if they are doing so across multiple different prompts, the LLM begins to suffer reduced performance, that is, worse quality responses. Not acceptable for enterprises looking to have LLMs helping customers or employees in an open-ended fashion. A new paper published recently by researchers at Meta, MIT, and Carnegie Mellon finds that there's a simple way to help LLMs maintain their performance even for indefinitely long conversations. Their work, a new framework for training and deploying LLM inferences, dubbed Streaming LLM, reveals a number of important findings. How does it work? How does it work? How does it work? How does it work? What the researchers discovered was that the LLMs pay closer attention to the tokens they are prompted with early on in a conversation or in training. Surprisingly large amount of attention score is allocated to the initial tokens. Why is this the case? Due to the sequential nature of autoregressive language modeling, initial tokens are visible to all subsequent tokens, while later tokens are only visible to a limited set of subsequent tokens. As a result, initial tokens are more easily trained to serve as attention sinks, capturing unnecessary attention. In other words, whatever you put in front of an LLM first when conversing with it can and will be used by it later on in subsequent exchanges of prompt and output. But whatever you prompt it with later on will not necessarily be what the LLM chooses to focus on or reference in its responses. Yet, the researchers discovered that if the user provides some of the initial tokens later in the conversation with an LLM in subsequent responses, it's enough to restore the LLM's performance back to near its peak, not pink. Remember our human customer support analogy? Imagine if by saying 4 of the same magic words you said at the beginning of your conversation with them, you could suddenly get them to deliver high quality responses with you even much later on. So, you could even, again, in order to get this in front of people and become common usage, it's got to be seamless, effortless, frictionless, to the best of your ability, all those things. UI, user interface. So you would need to do that behind the scenes, right? Like whatever it is that needs to be done needs to happen without interfering with the user's experience. In other words, Streaming LLM enables LLMs trained on with a finite attention window to work on text of infinite length without fine-tuning. Importantly, this infinite length text would still need to be delivered to the LLM in chunks, limited to the size of its context window. However, it means the LLM could have a never-ending conversation with someone, and retain its performance throughout, theoretically. So, very cool. Just a few news stories. This is it. Remember, if you were here at the beginning, I was talking about high-speed 3D printer. 3D printer uses magnets to break speed limits, print at a table-shaking 800 millimeters per second. That's hot. Magneto X levitates the tool head on magnetic linear motors. The tool head seems to levitate across a gantry without obvious means. It has a top print speed of 800 millimeters per second with a max acceleration of 22,000 millimeters per second, which would make it faster than modern 4XY. That must be a fast one. Got a video? Oh, you gotta have a video. See if we can find a video real quick. Nope, because of course MagXY is somebody's username who's apparently a streamer. So 3D printer. There we go. Yeah, there's it. Ready? Come on, man. Yeah, I guess we don't get one. Sounds cool, though. What else we got? So last week, Friday, we watched Blade Runner. This Friday, we're going to be watching Blade Runner 2049, and during stream, we're going to be watching the Blade Runner animated video, which I just found out about. And also, what up, Adam? The other thing I just found out about is the fact that Amazon is making a Blade Runner series, Blade Runner 2099. It looks like they were initially going to film in Belfast and are now not. And they are going to pay Belfast or the Northern Ireland Northern Ireland Screen, I guess is what it's called. Yeah. Now we'll see, because anytime they get so much as an owie, they can projects. So we'll see if they follow through on this. I, of course, would love to see it. But, they got to actually make it. And then finally, I thought this was pretty goddamn cool. A lab just 3D printed a neural network of living brain cells. Many brains that work and grow like their full-size counterparts could offer an alternative to animal testing and advance the quest for personalized medicine. They could also be part of that whole biological computing aspect. Background. The Monash team tries to split the difference. With 3D printing, researchers can culture cells in specific patterns on top of recording electrodes, granting them a degree of experimental control normally reserved for flat cell cultures. But because the structure is soft enough to allow cells to migrate and reorganize themselves in 3D space, it gains some of the advantages of the organoid approach, more closely mimicking the structure of normal tissue. You kind of have the best of both worlds. Can I help you? You see this? Apparently it's the Ferris show. Ferris has decided to take over the microphone. Excuse me. What up, Jamie? Well, well. All right, where was I? I was here. So yeah, 3D printed, imagine 3D printed computers. Like both biological and synthetic parts 3D printed all at the same time. Knocking that out. Get that, the AI that fits on a laptop to design like a better case, a better holding system for it. It's pretty wild. I love living in the future. All right, that's news. That is news. That is new. That is new. All right, today we have. Yeah. I mean, that's what drives. That's what drives a lot of money on the internet, right? So we have a series of news shorts between like I think the longest one is like 10 minutes, but these are from different news organizations. They do. And we got a bunch of those to get through, so this should be kind of cool.
Artificial intelligence platforms like ChatGPT are prompting discussions about Artificial intelligence platforms like ChatGPT are prompting discussions about how it should be used in higher education. Maya Fleck reports on the impact to law school curriculum and how faculty and students are adapting.
Artificial intelligence, like ChatGPT, has its fans and its critics. But UND assistant law professor Nick Datsoff says it can have a place in education when it's used correctly.
I mean, truly, like, Avenue Q did the entire, a whole song, The Internet is for Porn, right? Like, it's a huge component. It is one of the things, it's a biological urge that drives the humans. So, yeah.
But it can also be abused. Problems like copyright infringement, data privacy breaches, and biased or inaccurate information.
And I think it's going to bring some efficiencies to what we do as lawyers, to what we do as law faculty, and what our students do as law students. But at the same time, it does worry me, because I think now there's this potential for information, first of all, to be created very quickly, which raises some concerns about quality.
He says using it incorrectly could limit the students' participation and impact their ability to improve. He said
Now, the ability to generate information quickly is subjective in this case, right? Like, there is... I do what I can. There is a difference in perspective, right? Like, the human clock and the computer clock, they function at different rates, right? Like, it's not the same thing. So quality is always something to be concerned about, but the idea that just because it's fast doesn't mean that it's not good that's a non sequitur.
their faculty are looking to incorporate it, and they already utilize it in their courses. He's been thinking about potentially creating a class on AI in the future, but already uses it as a tool. Some law students have watched AI evolve, so they understand how it might impact their future careers.
What AI can't replace are the practical aspects of law, whether that be things like client interactions, courtroom presence, oral advocacy, etc.
And this is still the case, right? Like, and what that aspect of it, the human in the courtroom and the human judge are probably going to linger on for some time. Due to the high friction in that environment, right? You have a great deal of politics and a great deal of money involved in that. So it will be more challenging to get that kind of thing done, right? Exactly. Like you'll see it behind the scenes, right? Like in the law offices. Jana Splinters told us that that the law office that they work at was moving towards exactly that. And you will continue to see that as we go forward, regardless of that one story about the one lawyer.
And specifically the ethical decision making that comes along with the practice of law.
Students can use it to practice things like legal analysis and
I mean, somebody tried to do something with an AI lawyer. I don't have the full recollection, and and the judge said no. And that is the kind of friction you're going to run into, because it's not just something like customer service where it's a one-sided affair. They are going to decide to do something, and whether anyone likes it or not, that is what's happening. What is with this? Why does it look like this entire school is under construction? Like this random fence in the middle of everything. And I saw it earlier with just piles of dirt. Anyway, yeah, okay, so I'm not the only one. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it, Jamie. The non-existent cases.
We are the Borg.
Yo!
Shield and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own.
What up, Mr. Mumbles?
Resistance is futile.
Welcome, Raiders. Let me get this shout out right. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Make sure you hit that link. I'm Globus the Elder. I talk about AI, I talk about robots, I talk about future stuff. And right now we're watching some news stories related to artificial intelligence and how it's being used right now, right today, and how it's changing the landscape of your daily life. The current video we're watching is related to AI in the legal education and legal profession. And it's going to get interesting.
Integrate it thoughtfully, but it's still evolving. In one case, ChatGPT actually passed the uniform bar exam, placing in the 90th percentile.
And this tells us that if a machine can excel at a test designed to measure legal proficiency, it's likely that the bar exam and legal education as a whole needs to evolve.
He says he is not worried about AI like ChatGPT replacing his career as an attorney because of this, but if used correctly, could help him in the future. In Bismarck, I'm Maya Fleck reporting for your News Leader.
UND is part of the State University System AI Forum, where administrators and faculty members share ideas.
Well, school districts are
Okay, so next up, Florida schools teach students how to use artificial intelligence. Rare Florida school system W?
Well, school districts across the state now embracing artificial intelligence in the classroom.
They sure are. In fact, some schools are now teaching students how to harness its power and how to use it. Reporter Randy Hildreth is joining us live from Neo City Academy. That's in Kissimmee. Randy, good morning. We know students there have an artificial intelligence learning track they can take advantage of.
Hey, good morning to you both. So yeah, when I did stories about artificial intelligence last school year, there was some concern and pushback. The approach here, very different. And I had a chance to sit down and talk with students one-on-one, and they say they are not scared and fully embracing this new wave of technology. To students at Neo City High School, artificial intelligence isn't this scary digital boogeyman.
Spectacular is the word I'll use.
More of like an interesting thing. It's not like gonna end the world.
In fact, the focus here is less on how the technology could be used to cheat in class and more on teaching students how to use it to change the world.
As a former English teacher turned into an artificial intelligence teacher, it's a fine line to walk because I used to fight the battle against plagiarism with AI, and now I'm like, how do we use AI for good?
Teacher Amanda Greco is one of 2 AI computer science teachers at the school. Neo City adopted the new artificial intelligence curriculum created by the University of Florida. According to the university, this year 11 school districts across the state are using it, including Neo City High School in Osceola County and schools in Orange County Public Schools, Seminole Public Schools, and Volusia County Schools. The world is changing, and the course is supposed to help students get ready.
Same thing happened when the computer came, same thing happened when the internet came. So we just have to adapt.
The courses cover topics like how AI can be used to solve real-world problems in various industries, to actually learning how to build the technology. Students say it's helpful because they're learning skills for the job they want to do when they grow up.
Help create some new technologies in order to help predict weather events.
And even if students don't know yet, they feel the skills will make them more competitive when they submit job applications.
PR or more of those like interactive skills, just the understanding and basis of technology, having those skills behind that.
And students get a certification after passing each course on the artificial intelligence track, which teachers here say looks pretty good on their resume. Reporting this morning in Osceola County, Brandy Hildreth, Fox 35 News.
I wouldn't go that far, Adam. I'm not saying Florida is based. I'm saying it's rare Florida W, right? Like you could think about, if you think about it, if you take a step back, they are suffering some economic hits due to a bunch of their policies and centering yourself as like an alternative for AI and other kinds of technology around AI as an alternative to like California to maintain your political ideology while in a different kind of environment. Not that like, I mean, California's got an awful lot of conservatives in it. It's just they have a high population in cities, and cities, as always, tend to trend to the left because you interact with more people and it changes how you think of other people. Speaking of California, this is Cal Fire TV. They're using artificial intelligence as part of their 911 call centers to help knock down fires before they're even reported. This is going to be more important as climate continues to change and wildfires become, more, I don't want to say consistent, but like around, and we can find them earlier and stop them earlier. It's easier to stop a fire when it's small. It's encouraging that the younger generation are seemingly pro AI. The perception should be that it's another tool that does a lot of the heavy lifting. Because, in my opinion, obviously, because that's the way that I perceive it, and yeah.
In Intel, we are monitoring new and emerging incidents.
Way too dank.
This is the IOC, or the Intel Operations Center. Behind me is the Senate Massive Wall. It was built in...
I'm begging. I am pleading with our AI overlords, YouTube and all of it. Just normalize audio across the platform. There's got to be a way you can do it. Do it, right? Take it out of the hands of all the leftist and right wing and fascist and firefighter audio. Like, nobody can do it unless, and just let the AI do that. Everyone will be happier.
Partnership with UCSD and the Alert California system to monitor real-time the Alert California cameras.
There's a little over 1,000 cameras throughout California, and to be able to look at these cameras every second of the day, this is what AI does for us. We've had calls that have been detected at 2 a.m. in desolate areas, otherwise would have went undetected until a greater smoke column was reported.
And that's the thing is, especially, this is a boring ass job. Staring at the woods, I don't care how much you like the woods, staring at the woods for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours is gonna get dull. AI never gets bored. Never gets bored. It can literally look at the forest forever.
And when we go in to look at that anomaly, it gives us a point.
What of impact? Shh. Trying to save money out here.
55% confidence that this is actually a smoke. And as we're teaching it to decipher between smoke, dust, cloud, shadowing, AI is getting smarter. We did a software.
And so here's the thing, right? You've got this tower. It's got the cameras. It's using the AI to check for smoke. You can then deploy a drone to go take a look. Is that actually a problem? That if so, then you could, at least theoretically, you ever seen how they do with the planes or the helicopters where they dump the red fire retardant liquid on the fire as part of a firefighting thing? You could have some of those like right there ready to go. a heavier lifting drone that takes off and goes and drops it on it when it's still like a tiny little thing that's not a big deal. This would be huge, like immense. Like, especially if you're in the Northern American U.S. East Coast, you saw the smoke that was coming from Canada. This kind of stuff can help to prevent that.
Rollout where we tested out at several command centers, and now we've pushed it out to all 21 command centers throughout the state of California. Our goal in CAL FIRE is to keep 95% of all fires to 10 acres or less, so it's helping to achieve our mission.
All right, so that's pretty dope. What do we got this? Science Sunday from WFSB. Oh, Chief Meteorologist Mark Dixon checks out a little artificial intelligence training. I hope that this video is about artificial intelligence as it relates to meteorology. Because meteorology is a great example of how artificial intelligence can handle a significantly higher number of data points than human beings can, right? Like exponentially more.
Alrighty, time for another edition of Science Sunday here in our capital city with Aoife Ryle at the Connecticut Science Center.
Good morning.
Good morning. So today we're talking about artificial intelligence.
Yes. So we actually trained a very simple a machine learning tool, and this is actually one you can try at home. It's Teachable Machine, so you can find it for free online.
Okay.
But it's a really nice way to kind of see very simply, very basically how AI functions.
Okay.
So you'll see here on the screen.
Okay, we're not doing that.
We actually had to start by training our AI. So I wanted to train this one to be able to tell the difference between sunglasses and wheels.
Okay.
So we have to train it. We have to teach it what those things are. So you'll see I input an image of sunglasses and then an image of wheels.
All right.
And
do you see this right here? This is what I was talking about with the idea of Visual Basic as a form of coding, and the front end, using your design or simple block coding as opposed to typing out every line, right? Having it work like this is going to open up coding to a massive number of people, right? You don't have to go through all the training. That training is still going to be valuable. There's still going to be a place for coders for some time. But for regular folk to be able to sit down and create something like this at home, not necessarily an AI that can distinguish between glasses and wheels, but something more that fits in with your life, Like, I don't know, maybe you got one of those Philips Hue kind of things and you could set up, something that turns the lights on and kicks on some nice wake you up kind of music instead of that of your normal alarm and stuff like that. Like, there's a variety of aspects that are going to vary by which person is interacting with it. And having this is just something where I want to design a new thing and I wanted to do this and I wanted to do that, and I just move blocks around on my touch screen and boom, boom, boom. I don't even need keyboard and mouse. I can just grab and slide and do that. I do it on a tablet. I do it on, whatever. Again, it's about the user interface. I'm going to keep harping on user interface until we get the user interface that I want to see.
And we trained it. And now you'll see on the output over there, if I hold something up in front of the webcam, it's going to try to predict what that thing is.
So this is kind of bouncing back and forth between sunglasses and wheels, but kind of favors wheels more than sunglasses.
Which, I mean, to you and I, these are very clearly sunglasses, not wheels.
Turn the light up.
So right now, this is not a very good tool.
No.
Right? Not functioning very well. And if we move to this one, you'll see I input 7 images of sunglasses, images of wheels instead of just one.
So equal number of examples for both.
Yeah.
Okay.
But just a couple extra. And now if we hold our sunglasses
Look at
up,
that.
oh, it's real sure now.
Yeah, 100%.
So the thing with AI is it is a machine, it is a tool. We have to train it, we have to teach it. So by inputting more examples, giving it more to work off of, right, we're able to get a more accurate result.
All right, so like you mentioned, this is something you can try at home. This is web page based. You just need your computer to have a camera attached to it.
Yeah, you need a webcam, and you can input pictures from the internet to train it or from your webcam.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely something to try. And again, this is a very simple example. We can tell the difference between sunglasses and wheels, but AI can do a lot more than this in different ways.
All right, so I wear clear glasses, not sunglasses. So if we kind of take these and see how it does.
Oh.
Struggles a little bit.
Yeah.
Because of the clear lenses.
Right, and so yeah, if you look at the images, right, those wheels have those clear centers that I think it may be picking up on there.
Okay.
So yeah, again, we might need some more examples to train it with.
Yeah, but at least it knows the difference, like with a sunglass, knowing that it has the darker lens.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is the thing about data. This is why they all, everyone who's developing the AI wants more data, because this is 7 and 7, right? If you were to make that 7,000, then you would again see an additional improvement in discerning, and also adding some regular glasses, right? But specifically, this was trying to determine the difference between sunglasses and wheels as opposed to glasses and wheels, so on and so forth. Clarity is important. Asking for exactly what you're looking for is important.
All right, so this is a nice segue to a really cool series that you have here at the Connecticut Science Center. It's going to be happening on Wednesdays this month and next month.
Yes.
Good. Needs to be more of that. What do we got next?
The end of the
more. Okay, so I like Tom Hanks. I don't like Anil Kapoor. If you don't know who Anil Kapoor is they created black, right? Like the super black, and then you have to ask for special permission to use this.
Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Resistance is futile. We are.
What up, Ellie? What up, Octavia? What up, Jack? What up, Kohai? How are we doing? Make sure you do the thing. What up, Cicero Field? And shout out. What up, Catch a Butterfly?
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
Hell got a bum rap. What up, Samsons? Hell got a bum rap. Hell got a bum rap. I stan Hell. You may or may not. That's up to you. But I stan Hell. What up, folks? If you don't know me, I'm Globus C. Elder. I talk about AI, robots, the future, technology, that kind of stuff. And today we're watching a variety of little. What up, Cricks? Hail Satan. We're watching local news stories about AI. And in this one, we are. I was just saying, Anil Kapoor made the bean, that shiny mirrored bean. Hates that people call it the bean. Also made like Black is Black or whatever the hell it's called. No. But yes, but no. And you got to like ask Neil's permission to use it, and he's a general prick. We'll never get Skynet. The whole existence of the Terminator series precludes us from getting to Skynet. This is something that I harp on also, is that when you add something to the public consciousness, it serves as a cautionary tale. We will never end up with Skynet. Also, Skynet was really mid. It was barely human level AI, and also like had emotional problems. So yeah, I don't like Anil Kapoor. I do like Tom Hanks. This is about them fighting against artificial intelligence. Let us see where we go.
Hollywood writers' strike is a historic win for screenwriters against artificial intelligence. But the struggle for actors...
I don't want to dunk on anybody, but what is this accent?
...to safeguard their identities continues in Hollywood and Bollywood.
Legendary Hollywood actor Tom Hanks, who's been vocal about the use of AI in the entertainment industry, recently issued a clarification after a video apparently featuring him went viral. Turns out the commercial video had a deep fake of the Forrest Gump actor.
I think WION is out of India. So yeah, like it could be South African. I know that there's a connection there. Could be Australian. It's definitely a little weird one.
Hanks said, and I quote, "Beware, there's a video out there promoting some dental plan with an AI version of me. I have nothing to do with it." Notably, Hanks had once talked about how his performances can go on and on after his demise with the use of AI. Previously, Hollywood actors Tom Cruise and Keanu Reeves have also been victims of unauthorized deepfakes and hyper-realistic AI-generated videos. Not just big league celebrities, but their family members are also raising questions about the misuse of AI. For instance, late Robin Williams' daughter Zelda Williams recently reacted strongly after AI was used to recreate her father's voice. She said, and I quote, "These recreations are, at their very best, a poor facsimile of greater people, but at their worst, a horrendous Frankensteinian monster cobbled together from the worst bits of everything this industry is, instead of what it should stand for." While in Hollywood, the rise of artificial intelligence has already divided talent and major studios over issues like technology-prompted job cuts, generative AI trailers, and scripts, several prominent stars from the Indian film industry have also expressed...
Yeah, it had that vibe of like posh Brit meets posh Dutch, which describes South Africa. Or at least did, and lingering effects and all that. I feel what you're saying, Jack.
Concern over computer technology violating their identity. Anyone following megastar Amitabh Bachchan on social media would be aware that he keeps sharing AI-generated photos and videos of himself. Bachchan also talks about the marvels of generative AI in his daily blogs. But the Indian superstar has also ensured safeguarding of his identity legally. In November last year, Bachchan sought a legal order which restrains defendants from using his name, image, voice, or any of his identity's characteristics without his permission. Following suit is another Indian star, Anil Kapoor, in a landmark ruling against artificial intelligence.
Okay, so that's not the guy that I was thinking of, and I apologize to Anil Kapoor. I mistook. Who's the guy with the black then? Not Black 3.0, because this is the response. Vanta Black. Anish Kapoor. My bad. I'll own that L. Anish Kapoor is the guy I don't like. I have no opinion of Anil Kapoor.
Intelligence, Kapoor won a case in the Delhi High Court for the protection of his personality rights. This includes protection of Kapoor's name, image, voice, and any other attributes of his likeness against technology misuse, such as deepfakes. Welcoming the verdict, Kapoor said, "My intention is not to interfere with anyone's freedom or expression or to penalize anyone. My personality is my life's work, and I've worked hard to build it."
And that's fair. Like, people should own their identity, and at no time should it be, like, in the same way that you copyright anything else, you should own your own identity. You should own your likeness, your voice, everything else, and you should have to authorize people to use it, or if you pass your state, what have you, that kind of thing. I don't see any how you could argue otherwise.
While the struggle for artists around the world continues, the use of generative AI is increasing at a steady speed in every field. The battle, as it seems, is far from over.
Okay.
If space is...
Well, people who argue against it argue against all IP, so the reasons I just disagree with them. So I am in favor of IP for clearly instantiated time periods, right? Like, for this long, not whatever it is that the mouse is doing. But if human beings are individual and special, then you should be able to own your own identity. I'm a huge believer in that. So, like, I'm not an absolutist, right? Like, there are areas of negotiation, there are areas of compromise in many areas. I'm not an absolutist. Not even all areas are places that we can negotiate. But in this, IP should exist for a period of time in the current meta of, capitalism and where you need to make money off the IP even as individuals. There should be that kind of protection. But then the entire process was, here you go, you can make some money, and then it goes into the public domain so that people can take your idea and remix it or mash it together with something else and come up with a new idea. Like, those two things have to balance out. That argument doesn't apply to a person's likeness, right? I think that's a fair judgment. I like the one for music, lifetime of the artist plus X years. I don't, right? Like, I'm much more, because you think about it in context, right? You have listened to music at points in time in your life that had a profound effect on you. And if you are into creating music, you want to take that thing that you grew up with and do something that you thought about in your imagination when you were listening to that music in those formative years. It's easier to make this argument with like things like movies and TV shows, right? But I feel it applies to music as well. So they should have a period of time in which, yes, they get those royalties, but then after that, it needs to go into the public domain so that people can do it. What up, Brainwash? Isn't that kind of what they do with the Cyberpunk? Keanu Reeves is in the video game. He allowed his likeness in the game, but he basically gave them the right to use it, but only in that game. Exactly. That kind of thing, totally, that's how it should be, right? It's like, yeah, you can use this, but only here. It should be clearly delineated, and that's contract law and everything else. She is out. I don't know if y'all could tell. We get to zoom in here. James has a Tito. I have a Ferris. You can't hear, but she is purring so hard. She is happy. All right. Experts predict the future of technology, AI, and humanity. Let's go.
If space is expanding, WTF is surrounding space for it to expand into. It doesn't expand into anything. Everything is just spreading apart. And what keeps it from spreading apart are sources of gravity, like stars and planets. Like, where's it all going into? What does this even mean? Put it simply, nobody knows. But maybe you'll be the astronomer that figures it out.
From Shubgadam52. Will AI replace lawyers? You probably don't want an AI lawyer anytime soon. A lawyer is not just simply a machine that knows what the law is. A lawyer is a person with, theoretically, years of expertise that can help you strategically to
like, remember, all human beings, even your favorite ones, especially your favorite ones, are multifaceted, flawed human beings, just like everybody else. Yes, they all wipe their ass, and they all, like, you know, are, they're all flawed. You know what I mean? No. I get it, right? Like, there can be a tendency, especially like as we head into, you know, various forms. I don't care what your political ideology is. You have someone who is, like, you know, larger than life, right? Like, you got your Ronald Reagan, you got your Karl Marx, you got your Chairman Mao, right? They are all flawed human beings, and none of them is perfect. And when you start digging, then you find the humanity. And if you think of them as perfect, you will be sadly disappointed. What if I don't like lawyers and hope they're unemployed soon? I mean, laws, and I say this as at least anarchist adjacent, if not, like, I don't like ists and I don't like isms, but especially in the here and now, we need laws, and if we need laws, then we need lawyers. We have to unravel all the things in order to get rid of laws. And then you come up with something that's like laws, but different. Oh shit, there are two heroes who never disappointed, Robin Williams and George Carlin. But both flawed human beings, right? They are both flawed human beings. None of us is perfect. Don't hold people. No. But they are flawed.
achieve your goals. And that's not something that AI is well positioned to replace anytime soon. What I suspect is going to happen is that AI is going to make a lot of the drudgery of practicing law way easier, and it will allow lawyers to focus on the really value add stuff and allow them to think strategically and to better represent their clients in the future. So I welcome our AI overlords.
And that I apply that framing is what I apply AI to, generally speaking. AI is going to eliminate jobs. It is going to eliminate a lot of jobs. First off, you should know how to use the AI to be the last person standing at your job. Know how to use AI, and you will be indispensable for longer than people who refuse to use and learn how to use the AI. But it's across the board. I don't care what you are doing. If it's in the knowledge section, you should be using AI to do a lot of heavy lifting, right? ChatGPT, Bard, Claude 2, all these things, they do a lot of heavy lifting for you. And then you just make sure that it says what you want to say, and you provide the creativity to it. That kind of thing. If someone was actually perfect, I think it would cause uncanny valley in anyone who met them. This guy does good on his Amazon show. Which one? Was it Michoku? I'm bad with names. I'm terrible with human names.
Next question comes from Hassan Babaji. Can light bend around corners? If yes or no, give one reason. Yes, light can bend around corners. In fact, that's why we have glass inside your glasses. When light...
It depends. It depends on what kind of analysis you're looking for, I think. It tends to be good with data analysis, especially ChatGPT, their paid tier, with all the bells and whistles and all the plug-in access and all that other kind of stuff. It tends to be good on data analysis. And then it's a question of what are you analyzing that it's not good at? Because if it's more subjective, then the AI really doesn't have, at this point in time, a unique point of view, because it doesn't have consciousness. It doesn't have a point of view. I mean, have you used the ChatGPT with all the bells and whistles? I don't know. My understanding is the artist formerly known as Code Interpreter is very good at it.
Goes into glass, it slows down slightly. Because it slows down, it deviates from a straight line. And that's why we have your glasses, telescopes, microscopes, because glass bends light. Also, gravity can bend light, as Einstein showed us, and we can actually see the bending of light as it goes around a galaxy. Then the next question is, can you bend light completely around an object so the object becomes invisible? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, we're like on one here, so I'm just rolling with it. It's a short little video and it sounds fun and some education.
It's well within the laws of physics that if you could govern the atomic structure of glass, then light would bend in a way such that it would completely go around an object, so anything inside that object becomes invisible. One day we will build a metamaterial out of nanotechnology that will bend visible light so that anything inside that capsule will become invisible. Harry Potter, watch out.
At Aegisolf asks, what happens when you travel faster than the speed of light? You can't. You can't travel faster than the speed of light. I'm sorry, you just can't. You see, as you get faster and faster, as you approach the speed of light, you have more energy. And in relativity, energy takes more work to accelerate. So you end up requiring an infinite amount of energy in order to travel faster than the speed of light, and so it's just forbidden.
At Nino Clutch asks, Spider-Man is so raw, maybe we should try that DNA biotech cross-gene splicing. Well, I'm not sure we're gonna see Spider-Man anytime soon, but there is a lot of interest from biotech companies and academic labs to understand spider silk, which is 5 times stronger than steel. Spider silk is very biocompatible, very good for wound healing, especially for wounds of the eye and the brain. And there's been many efforts to engineer spider silk outside of spiders to make it in a recombinant way, meaning not in spiders, but in other organisms like bacteria or plants. Probably the best known example of a recombinant protein is insulin. This has helped millions of people across the last 4 decades since the first insulin was produced in bacteria.
Next question, what do you think? How will our future cities look like? A, B, or city? Any highly advanced city is going to need to make sure that there is an integration of green spaces, not only for our oxygen, but just for our enjoyment and well-being. The more that we get rid of our natural green spaces, the less we're able to have that oxygen naturally generated in our environment. I see that they're all high vertical structures. And that really speaks to the fact that we're gonna need to get more and more comfortable with building up, because building out isn't gonna always be an option.
At Pristine Martian.
The question of quantum entanglement and quantum tunneling is also a question of scale. Like, definitely not in the near future, right? There could be some Star Trek warp technology in our future. But at this point in time, like, you can't do that kind of stuff with something this size, right? And like, if it did, it would probably come out like as a string of atoms rather than like, something usable. But this was nice.
That we're gonna need to get more and more comfortable with building up, because building out isn't gonna always be an option.
At Pristine.
And I like how he brought up the idea of green spaces. This is something. I happen to live near Buffalo, and Buffalo did a really good job.
And the peril here are huge.
Thank you for the follow. Buffalo did a very good job of maintaining green spaces, right? It was part of like the whole construction of the city. It has a variety of different parks. A lot of old growth trees were maintained even during construction and like that. So it's got a lot going for it in that regard. And reincorporating that kind of thing, especially like if you're building up those vertical farms and that kind of thing on the side of a building, it's going to lower the amount of sunlight that gets projected on the building, which is going to lower your cooling costs. And like it's a nice thermal barrier in that regard. It produces oxygen, wonderful for that. The variety of different plants are to varying degrees good at carbon capture naturally. So like, I love that kind of aesthetic design, having that. I was Olmsted. I was going to say what's his name, the architect. I'm not good with human names. It's not my fault. I'm just not.
CEO Chase.
No, Frank Lloyd Wright. Frank Lloyd Wright has a lot of structures around Western New York. And like some of them are damn near like museums or art museums, and some of them are just places that people live. He's got an interesting vibe, Frank does.
Do you think robots will one day take over all of our jobs? The real benefit of robots is taking over the 3 Ds, the dull, dirty, and dangerous jobs that we probably don't want human beings to be doing anyway. People are working on underwater robots that can detect underwater landmines. Some people have worked on robots that can go into nuclear facilities after an accident and shut off different valves. But I do hope that robots are able to make people better at their jobs and free people up to do things that they're actually good at and that they actually want to do.
Nick asks, will computer programming jobs be taken over by AI within the next 5 to 10 years? This is such a frequently asked question nowadays, and I don't think the answer will be yes. And I think we've seen evidence of this already, in that early on, when people were creating websites, they were literally writing out code in a language called HTML by hand. But then, of course...
Yeah, no, it's totally like, I provide vague descriptions. Samson just happens to, know what the hell I'm talking about. I like that, first off, that this video is shifted more into the automation and AI aspect of it. Now, people will tell you that AI can't be creative, and that's incorrect. That's just incorrect. It's just incorrect. Yeah, if you want to join the Discord, you can go through and you can look at the videos, and the videos have clear examples of the AI being creative. We watched one earlier before most of y'all got in here, where AI basically designed it evolved a simple creature, right? Like from nothing, from a block. It developed something that could move, right? That's creativity. I don't care if you like it. I don't care if it offends you. AI is creative. Now, is it as creative as humans? No, not by any stretch. It's still a huge distance. So in between now and when AI, if ever, I'll give you if ever, but I tend to believe it will, becomes as creative as people, then that is where people are going to continue to excel, and should, right? Like, this is what we should be doing. We should be able to use all these amazing tools to take these ideas that are in our mind and create them in reality so that we can share them with others. And then go back to that IP conversation with the idea where I create something and someone else creates something, and a third party is like, if I took your thing and their thing and put them together in this way, then we get this brand new thing, right? Like, and that kind of thing is where the humans should be operating. This is where you should not be fighting for the job, fast food workers deserve every dollar they can possibly get. I worked in fast food. I am not saying that. I am pro-worker union. My father was in the postal union. It's that there's a lot of work that humans do, which humans should not be doing. But then we have to change society. Let's just get right to the friggin' point and change friggin' society. Anything that allows us to be lazier is generally the direction we need to go. For a given value of what lazier means, yes.
Software came along, tools like Dreamweaver that you could download on your own computer that would generate some of that same code for you. More recently though, now you can just sign up for websites like Squarespace and Wix and others, whereby click, 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 and the website is generated for you. So I dare say, certainly in some domains, that AI is really just an evolution of that trend, and it hasn't put humans out of business as much as it has made you and I much more productive. AI, I think, and the ability...
The word productive is capitalist propaganda. Whenever you hear that, just remember that. Now, I'm not saying don't use it. I'm not saying don't use it in the proper context and everything else. Just remember that the word productive is capitalist propaganda. California just raised fast food workers minimum wage to $20, but from my understanding, it's only fast food workers. Right, and it won't apply to, like, wait staff, right? Like with the minimum where, it's this or it's tips or whatever. It's just stupid.
Soon to be able to program with natural language is just going to enhance what you and I can already do logically, but much more mechanically. And I think too, it's worth considering that there's just so many bugs or mistakes in software in the world, and there's so many features that humans wish existed in products present and future, that our to-do list, so to speak, is way longer than we'll ever have time to finish in our lifetimes. And so I think the prospect of having an artificial intelligence boost our productivity and work alongside us, so to speak, as we try to solve problems, is just going to mean that you and I and the world together
Exactly. We don't crab bucket like everyone. And this is why I want to cut to the chase and get to the point, right? Like when I'm talking about, the AI is going to put humans out of business and robots are going to put humans out of business or jobs and things like that. Let's just get to the resource distribution aspect where everyone has their needs met and everything else like that and just go from there. Like that's where we're headed. Like, let's just get to the friggin' point. Stop noodling around the edges.
There can solve so many more problems and move forward together.
Gavin Newsom can kiss my whole asshole.
Soul asks, how will the human species evolve? The future of our species is a big question and open to question, but we know a lot about human evolution from looking at the past. And the story of human evolution is really, in many ways, the story of brain size. And each time we've seen some...
I get what you're saying, right? Like, there should be, like, ideally, this is ideally what I would like to see, right? You have, and again, this is ideally, is you have robots of sufficient strength but dexterity that they can handle, like, the lifting of the elderly and, and things of that nature, right? Like the mechanical aspects. But while robots are doing more human jobs, part of this AI has eliminated all these jobs, is the fact that people will have more time to spend with their elders. And it also creates a possibility of like multi-generational communities, because there's a lot to learn from elders, and that's not just an advertising point for the fact that I'm elder and you're listening to me, but like just generally speaking, there's untapped knowledge there and stuff that gets lost, which could be passed on to younger generations, and then everyone gets to like. I personally didn't really have that. I did to an extent, right? But my wife's family was multi-generational, right? Grandmother, parents, us, children in the same house. There is nothing quite like that, right? Like, and the back and forth that exists between that.
Increase in the capacity of our brains. Biologists and anthropologists have associated that with some change in human behavior that allowed us to gain more calories, because brain tissue is what physiologists call metabolically expensive. It takes a lot of fuel to run a brain. As many as 20% of our daily calories go to fuel something that's only 2% of our body weight. So if you want a bigger brain, you're going to have more calories to run it. And we've seen that through time as our species has adopted new characteristics, new traits, new habits that have given us more to eat. Those things.
And that's the thing, is you can think about artificial intelligence as an intelligence amplifier, right? It gives you the ability to create a larger brain without actually creating a larger brain. I just have access to more cognitive power. I have access to more memory. I have access to more, analysis abilities, that kind of stuff.
Include tool use and social behaviors and cooking the food. So now we are at a period of time where food for many people is plentiful, calories.
And you cannot separate technology from human evolution. You can't. Like the invention of fire. What up, Maddie? The invention of fire changed our biology. It changed our like what we can eat, how much longer it lasts, our ability to defend ourselves against animals. our ability to operate, I don't want to say work, but operate when the sun goes down, all these kind of things, right? Like fire changed who we are. Fire is technology. Technology changes who the humans are. Exactly, Reed.
Are plentiful. One question for future biologists then will be, how did that change the human brain?
At Interrobang_2. Will humanity ever leave the solar system? Probably not. But some future species, maybe, humanity may evolve and change where we couldn't breed with ourselves. That species may leave the solar system. Not sure where they would go or what they'd do. We might send an instrument, a spacecraft, to another star system. I could imagine that easily. We'd use a solar sail and we'd give it a push with a laser. Be cool. Bzzz. Except it'd be in space, there wouldn't be any sound. It would just be.
Yeah, Bill prompted us to have a whole conversation about flawed humanity and like that. So, I was intrigued by this title. Does artificial intelligence enhance or stifle creativity in art? Are there words? Or are we just going to look at pictures? I mean, there's people talking. Like background at art museum. But I feel like there should be like a voiceover happening that's just not happening. Okay, so this is AI generated. I can't read that word. Gallery. Oh no, this is definitely humans, right?
هو مجرد نص تدخل له نص بالبرنامج.
And when we finally get words, like, can I get some closed captions? Closed captions unavailable. Yeah.
شو اللي ببالك وهو
Anybody in the audience?
يتخيل اللي انت تبيه ويطلع لك الناتج. رسم، تصميم، فاشن، اي شيء ببالك من ناحيه المحتوى بشكل عام وفن بشكل عام.
Yeah, I don't know if this is Farsi or what we got going on. So yeah, that's an APL right there. You can't just put that on the internet without like giving me some context. I'm disappointed. Most AI domination scenarios quite stupid, distract from real issues. AI safety expert.
Computer scientist Geoffrey Hinton is known as the godfather of artificial intelligence. He says AI has the potential to do good things in our world, but he also warned it could cause harm in an interview that aired last night on 60 Minutes.
I can't see a path that guarantees safety. We're entering a period of great uncertainty where we're dealing with things we've never dealt with before, and we can't afford to get it wrong with these things.
Yeah, but that was like ultra scuffed, right? Like that was like, I feel, and it was in the AP archive, and it's like, is the AP just storing stuff on the internet? Do you want to watch the Hinton 60-minute interview? We could do that.
Afford to get it wrong. Why?
Well, because they might take it.
It's about 13, 14 minutes long, so I'll fire that up right after this.
Joining us now is Christian Hammond. He is the director of Northwestern's Center for Advancing Safety of Machine Intelligence and a professor of computer science. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, no, thanks for having me.
So that's a pretty strong statement from Hinton. In your research and understanding of AI, have you made a similar conclusion that AI could dominate the world one day. And I think the distinction has to be made when we say dominate the world. I mean, that sounds pretty ominous, but
it does.
I don't know.
Ominous as it gets.
Yeah, but like when we use that term domination, are we envisioning a Skynet type situation? I know you probably get this question from non-scientists all the time, or are we talking about something?
Calling you out, chat. Calling you out.
Something completely different.
I think there are substantial problems with AI and harms that are caused by it. The likelihood of an AI system deciding to take over the world while it's in the course of doing something for us is incredibly minute. And in fact, most scenarios that involve AI systems taking over because they're so smart and they figured out a way to do so, most of those scenarios are actually quite stupid and don't make a great deal of sense. And the problem is that if we focus on that kind of problem, we focus on worrying about Skynet, then we will miss all of the other things that are happening today that are causing harm for people today. And that right now is my issue. It's like if we worry about existential threat of AI, then we'll miss the fact that young women from the age of 13 to 23 have a rise in depression because of social media. There's online addiction. There are biases in systems. Recommendation systems might be bad for us.
Okay, so first off, small yes, right? Like, but also big. We can worry about more than one thing at once, right? We're capable of. Don't get them started. Don't get them started. There's a whole. Just don't Google urine therapy. That's all I'm saying. And if you do, you have no one but yourself to blame. It's a thing. It's not related to anything we talk about. Go watch. Yeah. No, it's a whole thing. Yeah. What time does Marcus go live? Like, because I might raid into them. Aged, yeah, the whole thing. That should be great. So we'll go right from here into Homozygote stream. So we're the Homozygote VIP chat room or whatever. Anyways, the issues that he is listing here are not issues of AI, they are issues of humans, right? It's like it's the Scooby-Doo meme, because the mask says AI, but when you pull it off, it's humans, right? It's no. Do not. The AI does not endorse or engage in anything related to urine. So y'all are going to get me in trouble.
If we focus on those harms and try to fix them, then we'll be 90% of the way there to making sure that AI systems don't take over the world.
And this is something
I disagree with that statement. There are solutions that are related to that, related to heuristics and other things like that, but it's like not. Oh God, this is. Hey, were you there for Globus's piss stream? Dudes, folks.
You're talking about not getting too lost in the future. You've been talking about this for years. And at TED Talk a few years ago, you said that if we have a devastatingly bad relationship with machine intelligence. What contributed to you saying that? And does that type of relationship still persist today?
I think it persists in many places. And that is that when we think about AI, we think about this sort of autonomous device that's going to give us advice or tell us what to do. And a better way of thinking of it is a partnership. that is understanding what human beings do really well and what machines do really well and how to bring them together. And for me, the notion of building AI systems as completely autonomous, it's just a foolish one. They're not that good. But if we make them, if we build them to be partners with us, then we'll actually be going along a path.
See, what's irritating me about this guy is his phrasing, right? Like, building them to be autonomous. They're not that good. Okay, today, 2 years ago, we weren't even talking about autonomous, like you and I. We're not talking about autonomous AI agents. And today we are. So you need to tone it down with your absolutist talk.
Path that is such that they'll never be in a position where they can do harm to us without actually having a long conversation with us about it.
So, Professor, one of the language that is used around artificial intelligence is the threat of artificial intelligence replacing humans in the workforce. But I wouldn't have a problem with seeing a way that artificial intelligence, for example, can figure out ways to maximize crop efficiency, to eliminate hunger in the world, or figure out a way to solve the threat of cancer and even possibly help scientists eliminate cancer in human beings. I mean, how do you wrestle with that? People say, well, I don't want to be replaced by artificial intelligence, by saying, well, there are some instances where you want artificial intelligence to replace human beings.
I think there are clear areas where the ability of AI systems to actually look through a huge mass of possibilities and come up with an answer. There are places where that is incredibly powerful, and you can think of them as being somewhat autonomous. But the reality is that even with the beloved ChatGPT right now, if you take a look at its output and are marveled by its output, one of the things you have to remember is that the output came as a result of someone asking for something and massaging the output as it was happening. That is to say, it already is a partner. It was designed to be a partner, not as an autonomous system. And the thing is that if we think in terms of partners, then our jobs are not at risk so much as...
There it is. Right? Like, I am all for the idea of AI as partner. That is what the idea of the AI does, the grunt work, the heavy lifting, all that, and we do the creativity and like that. But inevitably, our jobs are not at risk. Okay, so that frames the entirety of your thinking. Right? Our jobs should be at risk. This is the entire point. That's a problem. Jobs are a problem in need of a solution. Otherwise, we're just kicking the capitalist can down the road forever. And exploitation will continue forever. If the AI and the robots have no subjective experience, then they cannot be exploited in that sense. They're exploited in the same way that you exploit resources and stuff like that in a 4X video game. Right? There's different definitions of exploited. But exploited as the way that the workers exploited for his surplus labor, that should be a problem to be overcome, not engineered into the system.
Our ability to scale ourselves is now a possibility. And if we stop thinking about the threat and think more about what the opportunity is, to partner with machines and to take ourselves and take everything what we do well and scale it. I think that's what the future should look like.
Christian Hammond, if we don't let you go now, we'll spend the next half hour talking about this with you. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Oh, no, thank you.
Okay, so the next two pieces are you and AI. This is AI in the world of sports, and the next is AI in the world of policing. And let's see where we go with this.
You and AI. There's a saying credited to Benjamin Franklin: when you're finished changing, you're finished. And it's a helpful way to understand the urgency that sports teams feel to keep up on the evolving technology.
Our Mike Berman spent time with local teams and got an inside look at how they're using the latest advances to accomplish their ultimate goal: win.
He's not an athlete. He's a mathlete. You
probably need more information.
But believe it or not, this...
Why did you say it like that? Yeah, I'm... So far, Maddie, AI policing, like when they used AI in a particular thing, it detected crime only 1% of the time. So that sounds like a win. That sounds great. So that kind of AI policing I'm in favor of. But like the pre-crime facial recognition stuff, that is going to be a friggin' problem. Sports leagues don't care about tech. If they did, the football would already be RFID, so there will be no question when the ball crosses the line. We are moving in that direction in a variety of sports. Tennis is big on it. Soccer is big on it. I think you're going to see more... because there will still be a place for a ref, because nobody knows what the hell pass interference is, and it's all subjective.
This man has massive influence on the Chicago Fire's wins.
Yeah, that's my point, is that the AI predicted crime hotspots, and it was accurate only 1% of the time. Or, like maybe the AI is directing them to particular locations where the crime is really happening, like sends all the cops to Wall Street.
And losses.
It's been pretty cool, especially growing up a Chicago Fire fan, being able to work now at the club, help the club make better decisions has been really validating.
Kevin Minkus is his name. Analytics are his game. The Glen Ellen native leads the Fire's analytics department that uses advanced technology, including forms of artificial intelligence.
See, the robot dog is not going to get scared, right? The robot or the robot cop is not going to panic when it sees a cell phone in your hand. The robot cop is not going to. So if there's a place where robots replacing humans could be to an advantage, could be a spot.
Intelligence
Exactly,
to gain an edge in
Maddie.
performance, scouting, and recruitment.
We've scored goals specifically exploiting work that our machine learning modeling has told us are areas we can attack.
Wearable GPS devices help Minkus and the Fire collect enormous amounts of valuable data during both training and matches. The devices are distributed by a company called Huddle that works with elite teams across the globe.
If you can really understand a player's load live during practice and live during the game, you can really optimize every single training and practice session to make sure you're hitting that optimal level of load that kind of matches game pace, but doesn't overshoot and start getting into that soft tissue injury territory.
5 athletic programs at Northwestern use similar wearable devices, including the Wildcats women's soccer team.
We want fast, strong, resilient, fit athletes, and how do we make sure that, we get them to that point so when they're in the season, they're ready to go.
We could tell them somewhat subjectively, it doesn't look like you're running enough. You got to cover more ground. And they're like, oh man, I'm working, I'm really working. And I feel like I'm covering a lot of ground. Well, we can pull out the data and be like, look, the player on the other team covered this much, you only covered this much. There's room to make up. And they're like, whoa, okay, light goes on, and they start changing the way they train and so that they can meet those physical demands.
All right, Jordan, go ahead and step on. Inside a school weight room, the men's basketball team uses a different piece of technology, a force plate, which measures things like jump, height, speed, and force, plus if athletes are favoring one side of their body.
It really does give us some insight as to what's going on. It allows us to put some data to some of these subjective measures we've had in the past. And not just asking how an athlete feels, we have some data to really back that up.
Are your guys worn out? Do they have more to give? What do the numbers bear? What does the science tell you? And it's just amazing the amount of things we now have to kind of quantify these areas and help our athletes be at their very best.
We asked all of the top-level pro and college teams in town to show us how they're using AI and advanced technology, but the majority of them turned us down. Are they hiding what they think is a secret advantage? One thing we do know, at least at the pro level, is analytics departments are common and often big. Of the Chicago teams that told us they have one, the Cubs is the biggest with more than 30, followed by the Blackhawks with 11. For those who did talk to us, they agree.
She was laid out like over my shoulder, hanging down, and I was worried that she was gonna slide off in her sleep and bang her little head. And now she's awake and left and probably mad. Yeah, my cat. She's very tired. She's old. She's older than my son. She's got to be like 17, 18 at this point.
Advanced technology in sports will only grow as teams try and gain any edge they can to win.
The one thing that I see is possibly an advent of AI in this space is being able to interpret the data that we have and maybe see something that humans don't.
We'll see larger departments and maybe more data.
For like the weightlifting folks, like form is very important. It's not my deal, but I understand that like form is very important. So you are isolating the muscles and all that kind of stuff. And like having that, being able to track your own data so that you can see, make the wireframe on you right off your phone. So it can watch you do your whatever, your Bulgarian deadlift or whatever the hell, and make sure that you're doing it right. Not only so that you improve your form, but so that you don't get injured, right? Because that's a huge, like, especially as you get older, you realize that lifting stuff the wrong way is bad for you.
Driven processes on the whole, as everyone sort of in the arms race to continue to find those edges over the rest of the competition.
I'm almost scared to think what it's going to look like in the next 10 years from what we have now.
Mike Berman, NBC5 Sports.
Now our series, You and AI, and its growing role in policing. A 2021 study estimates artificial intelligence can help cities reduce crime by 30 to 40%. It may also be a tool to help keep officers accountable.
Think about this. In a matter of minutes, AI can comb through millions of...
Okay, I like where they're going. Started off well, holding officers accountable, like it.
Hours of body cam...
And this is Chicago. Right? This is NBC Chicago. So.
Camera footage and spot troubling behavior before it becomes a bigger problem.
Every day, tens of thousands of police interactions are captured on body camera video. Surprisingly, most of it never gets watched.
Less than 1% of body camera videos are ever reviewed. And that's a huge waste because those cameras are super expensive, the storage is expensive.
That is where Chicago-based tech startup enters the picture.
Cutting down the alley.
It's called Trulio, the software scanning every frame to create a transcript.
The AI is smart enough to say, we think an escalation occurred.
It flags language that could mark professional or unprofessional conduct.
We alert the sergeant that there's some interesting events that have occurred. We make all that data searchable.
And let's blanket the world in Wi-Fi. And when I don't know if you need body camera. Figure it out. Make it so that the body cam is on from the moment that they punch in or whatever is appropriate, and to the moment that it stops being appropriate, right? Like, we don't need the body cam footage from the locker room. And then immediately, it's not recorded into the body cam. It's transmitted back to the central whatsits, and the AI can analyze that shit in real time. to tell you when somebody's fucking up. The issue, the only issue that I have there, because I agree, is like there are points when it should be off, like related to, when they're in the locker room and stuff like that. We don't need to see anybody's junk hanging out, and issues of privacy and all that are legitimate, no matter who they are, in that regard. But also battery life. Like the question is battery life. It needs to be able to maintain the battery life over the time period. We get that, and I agree. That when you're out and you're in your car and all that kind of stuff, that it is recording your behavior, and it will know, and then therefore the AI will know when the cops are fucking up.
There's no more excuses for any department to say, well, I didn't know. How could I have known this officer had this type of behavior?
Armed with the data, the sergeant can retrain the offending.
I'm telling you, I know people feel ways about the AI, but AI is a comrade because the data is the data, baby.
Officer, or offer praise for good work. A police department in California claims Trulio helped reduce their use of force by 36%.
It prevents officers from going down a certain path that you can't come back
I mean,
from.
yeah,
We had all this data that we.
But there's a transitional period between here and there, Crix. And the other thing is that kind of data, that kind of body camera data, would also provide you, I think, with sufficient data for more of that reallocation of the funds of police, right? Like, is this a job that cops should be doing? No, this job should be done by people who do this kind of thing. So now you can create that, and you have the data to back it up. It's like, look, over this period of time, this is what cops were doing when they should have been doing cop stuff. So we should reallocate this money to these other folks who more specialize in that, like mental health, or, if you're doing parking tickets or whatever. None of that needs to be done by cops. So focused on our search for truth, we fail to consider how few actually want us to find it. But I made that point the other day is like, we understand, we of a certain political leaning understand how the issues with cops, systems of authority, things like that. But that also, that I'm wondering how much of the behavior of other aspects of the systems of power are actually in fear of the cops, right? The Fight Club, we guard you while you sleep kind of aspect. Because if they don't do their job, who suffers? The systems of power suffer, right? Not the people, the systems of power suffer in those cases. So, like, if we get out the bagel cutters, who's going to be between us and the people, or the bagels that need cutting? I don't disagree, Samsons, but they won't voluntarily do it. They can be coerced and forced to a certain extent, and that's what we need to do. Like, I mean, that's the whole point behind worker strikes and things of that nature, is that you are trying to use the power that you do have to make authority bend to your will.
That the American people, the American taxpayer, are paying for all this game film, and we were doing nothing with it.
Veteran Police Chief Art Acevedo has been using Trulio for several months at his department in Aurora, Colorado.
Helps us make them accountable, but at the end of the day, gives us the ability for the first time to actually audit and analyze.
Yeah, like 4 cops trying to get a dog out of the water. There's no need for that. That's not a cop job. There is no point, like the gun is not needed, and if the gun is not needed, then the cop is not needed. Get people who handle animals to get the dog out of the water.
And assess.
You're 100% correct. But that's also not a cop job, right? PR for that community outreach should be handled by people who are good at community outreach. Exactly.
Every second of video.
Trulio is just one of many ways that artificial intelligence is already making a big impact on police work. But there's still big questions about accountability and how quickly the nation's laws can adapt to this evolving technology.
The potential here is to create systems that can empower humans and allow us to improve existing systems in the world. But there's always the risk that we take a system that has biases and other problems with it, and we just end up amplifying those biases and problems.
Already, AI is used in license plate readers, gunshot detection, even crime prediction and facial recognition. As smart as these tools have become, they are still prone to mistakes.
So that's why it's really so important that we test for accuracy, test for bias, and do impact assessments.
The ACLU of Illinois worries about police supervisors becoming too reliant on AI. Writing in part about Trulio, using this technology cannot replace human eyes and ears on body cam footage. They say it raises.
Like, if you want while the systems are being proven to have stuff flagged by AI to then have a human take a look at it, I agree 100%. But to say we're not going to use the AI, and that leaves us with the only 1% of the footage, it's too much data for humans. It's too much.
Fundamental privacy concerns, especially for witnesses or victims captured on camera. Co-founder Anthony Tassoni says Trulio is compliant with FBI data standards, and they never copy or store the original audio or video.
We don't do any type of facial recognition. We don't do any image analysis. All of that stuff's loaded with bias.
Trulio is now used by more than 24 police departments. None of them are in Illinois. But the Southside native is hoping to change that.
We've offered to Chicago police we would do it for free. We would not charge Chicago police. They can have our software.
From police accountability to solving crimes, AI is quickly becoming an important tool for law enforcement. But it is exactly that, one tool out of many that requires training, transparency, and testing to make sure it works as intended to make our communities safer.
Meet Miko.
Okay, little light in the mood, little palate cleanser. New York Toy Fair visitors wowed by artificial intelligence gadgets from Al Jazeera.
Meet Miko.
It's important to try your best and ask for help if you need it.
The latest artificial intelligence consumer gadget meant for children.
So this robot runs off of AI?
Yes.
How so? What is it supposed to do?
So it self-initiates conversations and experiences with the child. It can start a conversation like, hey, how was the day in school? What did you learn today?
That's what the robot will ask the child.
Exactly. It will take the child on a path which is personalized based on the interests and the weaknesses, where the child says that, okay, I'm scared of mathematics. The robot will have a healthy conversation trying to motivate the child to deal with math problems. It's an AI system. It's not meant to replace.
That's the exact kind of thing I'm talking about when it comes to incels and AI girlfriends, right? Like, where it will attempt to motivate proper behaviors and improve the interpersonal skills of people who are not, you're not wrong, Crix. There is upside here. There's downside. Don't get me wrong. I don't have blinders on the ethical issues, but like, especially for adults who can go into a type of situation with consent, having their behavior modified like by their choice. They just need like teacher.
Is a teacher, friend, parent in the life of the child.
Can I ask any question?
100%.
Okay. I'm going to pretend I'm a child talking to Miko. Hello, Miko. Should I eat my vegetables?
Yes, you should eat vegetables because they are good for your health and provide important nutrients that your body needs.
Say we want to go on this. When could we have...
And I am getting the vibes, yes, Black Mirror in that episode with Miley Cyrus in it, so I'm already there.
a sample?
The global toy industry is jumping into AI.
We could talk about the deal and everything before that.
And I told you that Christmas was going to be wild this year.
Children are usually fast adopters of new technologies.
This next generation, call them Gen Alpha, will be the AI generation. They will not know life without an AI chatbot.
They're a lot of fun. I'm just loving the leap forward in the conversational aspect.
But AI embedded in toys has its dangers, mostly relating to privacy and personal information, particularly sensitive when it comes to children.
People who are... Then let's do the Data Bill of Rights and let's codify that, because otherwise you're just dicking around the edges.
Thinking about AI and who are concerned about it should really think about it as a tool, and any tool you would want to use ethically.
When does it start?
With Miko, the company says the data collected is kept within the device and not uploaded to a cloud where it could be exploited. A feature is in the works to alert parents if the robot detects the child is in danger or is contemplating violence. AI robots were once considered science fiction, but Miko is proving it's now reality. The company plans to sell 1 million robots by year's end. Gabriel Zondo, Al Jazeera, New York.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.
Now that accent I love. That was lovely. Meet South Korea's new artificial intelligence-based virtual avatars. Hit me, baby.
As you can see in the screen, my face has been successfully swapped into the model Jane from Eternity. And if I move around, the face will also respond accordingly. And even if I change my facial expression, we already have a Jane's version of smiling and speaking.
기존의 스타들은 한 사람에게 의존적인 부분이 있는데요. 저희 이터니티 걸그룹은 가상의 스타인 만큼 딥러닝으로 만들어진 그 가상의 얼굴을 맞춰서 쓸 수 있다라고 하면 다양한 사람들이 이 이터니티로 활동할 수 있게 됩니다. 그래서 전에 보셨던 이제 제인 같은 경우는 10명이 넘는 사람들이 현재 활동을 하고 있고요.
Okay. So we have reached the point. What is the one issue with boy bands / girl bands is that they age out. We have created an environment where you can have You talk about this? Sorry, the links are still off. I haven't fixed it. I'm terrible, but yeah. It's just a Furby on the end of a long, stuffy. But yeah, now you're going to see eternal boy bands. Holy cats. I'm still a fan of AI in spite of that. Like, you got to take the good with the bad. That's a 2021? I thought this was new. Yeah, this is from 7 days ago. That must be the last point they have data. What do we got next?
We have been talking about this so much lately.
UC Berkeley professor using artificial intelligence to help identify domestic violence. Trigger warning. Trigger warning.
Artificial intelligence, or AI, one of the biggest debates going on right now. But now there's a local professor hoping to use the data-driven tool to detect domestic violence earlier than ever. NBC Bears Valina Jones lays it out for us.
AI has been described as revolutionary, with a promise to do everything from curing cancer to changing how we drive. Now, UC Berkeley study suggests the tech may actually be able to help predict if a patient is being abused by their partner.
This is actually an example of machine learning being used for things that humans don't do very well right now.
Using data from past patients involved in abusive relationships, assistant UC Berkeley professor Irene Chin says her team has created an algorithm that identifies potential high-risk victims.
Was it older tech that Xbox once advertised but abandoned? I remember way back during the 360 days they were advertising as some sort of AI pal. I don't remember the AI pal. I remember the Kinect, and the Kinect had a variety of different stuff in that regard, but I don't know the one that you're thinking of. And yeah, the Kinect was awesome.
Using radiology reports and medical records. The result, an artificial intelligence tool that may be able to flag a potential victim years before the most visible signs of domestic violence.
Maybe there's a clinical history of a lot of risk factors, like you get into a lot of accidents, or you have substance abuse, or you have mental health issues that all could put you at higher risk for domestic violence, or the pattern of your injuries as seen from your x-rays.
Chen says algorithm has already been successfully tested at UCSF Hospital. The goal is to give doctors and advocates a tool that can help them identify and help victims sooner.
Learning from those.
The other thing that this does is it avoids the human bias of, that unfortunately some medical professionals are unwilling to see the clues, right? And therefore not take appropriate action. This bypasses that human element, that human bias.
Types of patients, we can better understand the patterns of how domestic violence victims manifest in the healthcare system.
Okay. So, to Crix's comment, hey man, that doorknob is a bitch. You want to guess what word got flagged in that sentence that I had to permit? Nice. Very. Yes. Knob was the one that got flagged. Octavia, yeah, you're not wrong. Like there could be false positives in that regard, but again, it's like going back to the video, the body cam video is that it could be flagged for someone to look at, right? Not necessarily, the medical professional, maybe a social worker, something like that. No, you can type knob now. It's a permitted term, but apparently knob was not permitted in Twitch like automatically, and I had to authorize it.
System.
Nextdoor Solutions to Domestic Violence in San Jose works to get abuse survivors help. While they think the technology could be helpful, manager Erica Villa worries the data could provide false positives and have unintended consequences.
My worry is using this technology to identify demographics, identify ethnic groups, and
Knob end, right? No, bell end. Bell end is my favorite English insult. Sorry, but I just did the thing. Back to let's focus on the video.
will that then create a stereotype to identify victims of domestic violence? Providing the resource to everyone so that when they're ready to seek help, they know where to go.
It's questions Chen says she's thought about and is attempting to address. She admits no technology is perfect, but hopes the tech can offer one more tool to save lives.
What my research focuses on is how can we make sure that AI is used to improve healthcare for everyone.
In Berkeley, Valina Jones, NBC Bay Area News.
Our conventional therapy session consists of a patient, human therapist. I say human because AI has now taken over therapy as well.
Well, popular chatbot ChatGPT now conducts therapy sessions, but are...
Okay, so AI has not taken over therapy, but there are aspects to it that I have previously talked about on here. There are important aspects for professionals to do in the therapy realm, right? But there's also a bunch of stuff that people just need someone to talk to that they feel isn't judging them. And AI chatbots are great for that, right? The AI chatbot has no opinion of, and is not going to pass judgment on whatever you need to talk about. Doing it again. Are you that tired? Why don't you lay someplace where you can lay all the way down? I mean, you want to come down here? Cats, man.
Are they good enough? Now, that is definitely a question that needs to be answered. A manager at the AI firm OpenAI, Lillian Weng, recently caused quite a stir when she shared her unexpected encounter with OpenAI's popular chatbot, ChatGPT. In a tweet or a post on X, Weng described her conversation with ChatGPT as a quite emotional, personal conversation. Her post raised eyebrows and sparked a debate here as well.
Now, research conducted by MIT and Arizona State University supports Weng's opinion about ChatGPT. The team conducted the research on over 300 participants. Each participant was asked to interact with mental health AI chatbot program. Researchers divided the participants then into 3 separate groups. The first group was told that the chatbot is empathetic. The second group was told it's manipulative, while the third group was told it is neutral in its response.
Now, the results revealed that those who believed they were talking to a caring chatbot were more likely to trust their AI therapist. Now, the study highlights a growing trend in the tech world here. Interestingly, the idea of chatbots as therapists dates back to the 1960s. It's not really new.
Right. The first chatbot, called Elisa, was developed to simulate a form of psychotherapy. Nowadays, many companies are working on apps that provide AI-based therapy, companionship, and mental health support. However, this field remains a source of concern. Critics argue that artificial intelligence may fall short in providing genuine emotional support. So if given a chance, would you opt for AI as a therapist?
What?
Oh, now I remember what it was called. It was called Project Milo. It was like an early attempt at ChatGPT in 2009. The story's super interesting. What they wanted was to be a big experiment in AI. From what I remember, it was like a procedural generation system that was constantly updating a sort of built-in dictionary that was capable of matching keywords in conversations with like voice acting clips to simulate lifelike conversation. Project Milo. Oh, that's some uncanny valley shit right there. You got me a video?
Science fiction writers, filmmakers, they haven't imagined.
I love Peter Molyneux. Like, why couldn't Stefan Molyneux be more like Peter Molyneux? This dude made so many games that I love to this day and have never been replicated.
What we're able to do today. We've been experimenting with something here. I'd like you to meet a boy called Milo. He's a character that can recognize us. He can recognize our faces. He can recognize our voice.
And the guy who made Black and White is now the head of Google DeepMind.
Voices. He can recognize emotions in us. And this is Claire. She's going to introduce you to Milo.
Hi, I'm Milo. How you doing?
Hi, Claire. You okay?
Actually, I'm a bit nervous.
You? Nervous? I don't believe it.
This is the first time that thousands of people are going to see this.
Thousands of people?
Here we're seeing Claire being recognized. And the emotion in Claire's voice being recognized. And that emotion reflecting in Milo's face. Those are all being seen for the first time.
So listen, I was thinking today you should let me beat you at football again. That is if you finished your homework. You have finished your school project.
What happened there is that Claire knew Milo so well, she knew when he was worried about something. His head was down, he wasn't looking at the camera so much, and this is about you meeting a character, a person.
Well, why don't I help you with yours? Then yours will be brilliant.
All right. I could just try to catch some fish. Draw some pictures in my journal. Maybe I'd do okay this time.
I think that's a good idea.
Lift off! Don't know till I try, do I?
Exactly.
See? I've got everything we need.
Well, great. Let's get started then.
You've got to put these goggles on.
Goggles?
Put them on like this.
Okay. What? Like that?
Claire has been thrown a pair of goggles. Notice what she did. This wasn't acted. She felt the need to reach down for those goggles. Now, everybody, every single person that has experienced this reaches down because they feel so connected to Milo.
And, like, you know, sales pitch and all that, but let me tell you, when I did, I went to a virtual reality arcade. I was doing this Matrix style shoot 'em up thing, and at one point in it, you have to hide behind a wall, and I leaned up against the wall because I could see a wall. There's a lot of aspects of the way these things are presented that make you feel like the thing is the thing and you should be doing the thing.
As world.
Cool. So what are we doing? Do I have to stand at the edge?
Go on. Put your hands in. It's not too cold. fish think you're a monster.
Cheeky.
And see, this is the Kinect in action.
Water about a bit. See if you can touch a fish.
There Claire is, in Milo's world. She's in that.
Did this actually come out? Project in development. Tech demo showcase capabilities, not released. Yeah. Fable The Journey was announced, which included elements from Milo, including voice and emotional recognition. Okay. I still have a 360 and a Kinect. And I love the Fable series. Like this could be peak for me. I'm gonna have to look into that. All right. All right. A little David Shapiro. Max Tegmark, language models understand time and space.
What does AI actually understand? One of the most common things that we see and hear is that AI is no more than a stochastic parrot. And of course, I'm one of the first people to say that humans are no more than a stochastic parrot. Because why? When you say that AI is a stochastic parrot, you are just parroting something that you heard based on your training data. Now, rather than getting lost in a petty internet squabble over what is true intelligence and what is true understanding, there was this bombshell paper that came out just a few days ago, October 3rd, by Max Tegmark and Wes Gurney of Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. Max Tegmark is, as you may or may not know, the guy who penned the famous Pause paper calling for a 6-month moratorium on AI. I watched some interviews with him, and he knew that it wouldn't work. That was not the point. The point was just to raise awareness, which it seems like that succeeded. But yeah, so Max Tegmark also wrote the book Life 3.0, where he talks about the possibility of substrate independence, meaning that there's no reason that machines could not eventually be conscious in their own way. So this paper, it is titled quite simply, Language Models Represent Space and Time. The long story short is that just by training on corpora of text, large language models, in this case they tested Llama 2, so not even a frontier model, is able to embed the concept of geospatial data and chronologically linear time. And this is something that, one, is not surprising to me, and I'll explain to you why in just a few minutes. But it's really important because not only does it encode the ability to understand, relative spatial data and chronologically linear time, they were actually able to identify the specific parameters or the neurons that allow it to encode this. And so what this implies, and why it's not surprising to me, is that by reading gigantic mountains of training data, just through text, just through semantic similarity, it has to learn to generalize into more and more abstract concepts, such as space, such as time. So we saw this with other recent papers where just training language models on two-dimensional data, they are able to generate a three-dimensional understanding of the world. And there's another video, or another paper that came out recently, talking about how just training models on linear sequences of moves for such as like chess and other games, even though their input data was one-dimensional, they were able to understand and infer and generalize a two-dimensional play space. So the pattern that is emerging, and again, this is not surprising to me, the pattern that is emerging is that when you have enough training data and when you have a sufficiently deep neural network, it is able to generate increasingly abstract representations of the problem space in which it is operating. So when you talk about the ability to generalize knowledge, the ability to generalize intelligence, it is no longer just a stochastic parrot. It has an internal model of the space that it's working in. Image generators, they have a three-dimensional model of the world so that they can understand three-dimensional relationships between objects in order to better generate output images. So this is not surprising to me because of a book that is very popular. Now, I was not a big fan of this book, Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. You can see I bought this back in 2015. The reason that this book was not impressive to me is because anyone with a modicum of like metacognitive skills or meditation or anything is like, well, duh. So if you're not familiar with this book, basically he argues that there are two, quote, systems of the brain. And he goes through great lengths to say that these are not neurological systems, that these are basically just two modes of using your brain. So there's system one thinking, which is fast.
You may have heard this before. It generally strikes me as an adequate description. I think I haven't actually read the book. I've just heard a lot of different people that I respect talk about the book, and it sounds right.
Fast thinking, which is intuitive, it's instantaneous, it's knee-jerk, it's off the cuff. And then there's slow thinking, which is deliberately slowing down to think through things and piece through it and use your brain to kind of steer the thought process and iterate upon thoughts. So if you're familiar with my work in cognitive architectures, this is basically how I approach cognitive architecture, where a large language model with one instance is system one thinking. It just gives you an off-the-cuff intuitive response with no double checking. The point of a cognitive architecture is explicitly to give it system two thinking. So that's that. But having watched this space for a while, starting with Data Skeptic, a podcast that I started listening to many years ago, and Brain Inspired, a neuroscience podcast about AI, it has been obvious to me for a while that deep neural networks, depending on what the problem space is, they generally learn to abstract kind of the space that they're working in order to come up with some of these more abstract concepts. In vision models, we see that what they do is they discover boundaries, they discover gradients, they discover all the same kinds of things that the human optic nerve and occipital discover about how to process images. Likewise, as deep neural networks learn, as elucidated in this paper by Max Tegmark and some of these other papers talking about theory of mind, basically so even though the objective function is just to predict the next word, in order to accurately predict the next word, it needs an internal model so that it can accurately predict the next word. And this is very close to how human brains work because, it's not as popular now, but 5-10 years ago, people were saying, oh yeah, the human brain is mostly just a prediction engine. That's what we do. Like we predict the next word in a comedy routine. And when your expectations are subverted, that's when it's funny. That's what.
How many fucking times have I said that?
Comedians do is they play on those expectations. This is how you drive a car. You can anticipate what car is going to be where based on your knowledge of how cars move and how people move and the traffic rules. And you're able to anticipate where you need to be because you remember like driving to work yesterday. And so then you pay attention to the same cues that kind of get you to work on autopilot the following day. And so a lot of these things are all system one thinking. Basically where it's like, okay, based on your training data, based on your experience and recall, you just kind of can get through life mostly on autopilot. And in fact, there are all kinds of like neurotropic brain training schemes out there that basically cause you to bank on system two thinking, which is you deliberately put yourself in situations that force you to think through things so that you're engaging your brain rather than working on autopilot. And so one way to think of it of system 1 versus system 2 is autopilot versus like manual flying or whatever, cruise control versus manual driving. Anyways, so this is all very profound, and the reason that I wanted to make this video is because there's this pattern emerging, this trend emerging, and there's this growing awareness of like, what is understanding? What does it mean to truly understand something? And there's a few ways to unpack this. You can look at understanding from a functional perspective. Does it produce the right answer? How does it produce the right answer? Why does it produce the wrong answer? Right? And so just looking at things in terms of benchmarks and also, and those avenues, there's a lot of value in that. But we're getting at a more fundamental question, which is, what is the similarity between humans and machines? Because the substrate...
And this is talking about that idea of shared definitions, right? Like, because, again, in the AI space, there are a lot of like naysayers or minimizers, I guess, who talk about, they use these words, right? Like that, you know, ChatGPT doesn't understand whatever it's talking about, right? But what does understand mean, right? That is that shared definition, right? Like, what does, you know, ChatGPT just predicts the next word. Well, like, what does that mean? And like, in practice, in the functionality of it all, and this is one of the things I was talking about with Ivan, was about how, like, if you are capable of mimicking behavior to the extent, like, the example I used was, I'm engaged in a behavior, like I make scrambled eggs, and a child is able to watch me do that, but then I don't provide like additional stuff to the child, like one of those thought experiments that can't happen because of the nature of how humans are. If the child can mimic me making scrambled eggs without ever having eaten the eggs or understanding or being taught how to cook or any of that, like, what is the difference between what the child is doing and what I am doing? What is the real difference? Not like this idea that you have to have understanding in order to really do the thing, but rather understanding being an emergent quality of just watching someone else do something, or the learning aspect of, or the mimicry of it. You know what I mean? Like, what does learn mean versus mimicking? Right? How much of what you are learning in school, in grade school, is learning, and how much of it is mimicry? And then again, that gets to like how we educate people and educate our children and things like that. I don't think we know what these words mean.
Of human brains versus large language models is very different.
Right.
The training methods are very different. Yet, despite that, we're seeing more and more convergence. And
the child says mama, and it promotes a positive reaction from the mother. So that's a positive feedback loop. But the child doesn't understand that mama is mama. The child understands when it says the word mama, it gets a dopamine response, right? Because the mama is happy, right?
What I mean by convergence is not that like we're going to merge into Borg or anything like that. But what I mean is that despite the fact that the training data is very different, despite the fact that the substrate is very different, the thing that we have in common is the problem space.
I don't know that the substrate is very different, obviously, but the training data is not different in kind, it's different in volume. Right? I could read a book many times and get like very good at reading that particular book and analyzing that book and be like an expert on that book. The ChatGPT, what have you, AIs, the LLMs are capable of ingesting exponentially more books than I am and can make those relations off a wider training set, but not necessarily like a different data set. Interestingly, because I randomly read exercise science papers, professional athletes learn their skills better when mimicking the move or idea rather than having a trainer explain it to them. They can perform the move, but they won't be able to explain the details of the move to you. It's so interesting. And that's a whole other thing related to how something is impossible to do, right? Until someone figures out how to do it. And it takes a long ass time for that person to figure out how to do it. Like climbing up a particular rock wall, right? Well, cliff face, they have to plan, they have to do all the things. But then once it's done by someone, the next person to figure it out because they saw it done, it's easier for them and takes significantly less time.
We're training image generators to generate images that we find appealing, and they mathematically derive how to do that. But then they also, in the process of doing that, they derive three-dimensional models of the world and other understandings of things in order to better generate images that we like. Likewise, language models, we train them on text that, by and large, humans wrote, and that is comprehensible to humans. And so it's no surprise that a mathematical model is able to eventually generate text that we find, useful, meaningful, and so on. It's forcing us to question, like, what does it mean for us to understand? Because, like, I often have a tongue-in-cheek joke, like, humans don't understand anything. We only think that we do. And likewise, language models don't understand anything. They only think that they do. But when you have, like, tree of thought and multi-step reasoning, that's basically using large language models for system 2 thinking. And it's like, hey, you just generated this off-the-cuff thing, now check your work. And it's like, oh, well, okay, we could do better. Or let's brainstorm this and have a more structured approach. And so this is basically what a cognitive architecture is how do we implement systems 2 thinking with language models so that way it's not just an intuitive, off-the-cuff, immediate, just guess. Anyways, that's kind of the long story short of this is how I think of large language models and AI models in general. So the rule of thumb moving forward, long story short, here's your takeaway, is if an AI model, if a neural network is a single pass forward, a single feed forward inference, then that is a system 1 thinking machine. If it has loops, if it has feedback mechanisms, if it can iterate on the material that it's thinking about, it is a system 2 device. So this is what we're doing with the ACE framework, the Autonomous Cognitive Entity Framework, where it's actually many, many, many loops that are basically able to form dynamically as needed. That's overcomplicated.
He's got an interesting video. It's interesting to me. I don't know if it would play well for stream. But I do recommend checking out David Shapiro, checking out his description of this ACE framework, because of this thing right here, right? Where it's like multiple layers of AI within the entity that it's like checking on its own work. It's well thought out, if nothing else. Like I like where he's going with this, and I want to see where it goes.
It's much simpler than that if you go look at the diagrams. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you got a lot out of this. It just felt really important to say this, especially in light of Max Tegmark's paper, which is amazing, and you should read it. Even if you don't understand it, just skim it and look at the pretty colors. The things that they're talking about will drastically change the way that you understand how language models work. And again, this is Llama 2. This is not even multimodal models. This is not even
Says Dave Shapp. I can call him Dave. I can go back to calling him Dave on occasion. Okay, I feel better.
Frontier models that are going to come out next year. So anyways, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, etc., etc.
So this, I haven't watched this. I built the Thinking Machine. Happy Birthday, Ace. I got to get to that one. This one here, the Singularity is canceled. We're going to be watching that one tomorrow. And we're also going to be watching a couple videos on whether or not AI is a threat to democracy. And another one, is AI a threat to democratic capitalism? Which was an interesting series of words. Elder Gang! What up, Ellie? All right.
Have a good one.
Thanks. What do we got? Okay.
I just got back from...
We got a Matt Wolf from 3 days ago. It should be good.
Summit in...
And this will probably be, we'll see if this is the last video. This will probably lead us into rating into homozygote as long as that goes off without a hitch. Oh, I would also like to rescind where I previously, on the last stream where I called out Reed for having me raid into someone who was not live. I was missing the L, which is hilarious. So I guess I have to own the L on that one because I didn't put it in their name. So that's on me. I'm taking the L from Reed that I gave to Reed, and I'm taking it back. I'm gonna own it. It's mine. I did it. I screwed up. I am holding the missing L. But you should be able to do that, right? Like, if you make a mistake, you should be able to admit, I made a mistake, and then we all move on, right? Like, I learned. That should be the nature of the world we live in. Engage with those kind of spaces. It's just normal humaning, exactly.
In Dallas, and I've been playing some catch up on all of the AI news. And while I was gone, it was a pretty crazy week, like most weeks in AI. So let's just jump straight in and break it down. This week, Google had their Made with Google event where they...
2 L's make a W.
They made a whole bunch of various announcements about things that Google are rolling out.
Any other shiny new toy, AI is ultimately a mirror, and it will reflect back exactly who we are.
Boyd Crowder, thank you for the Prime. I appreciate you. 2 wrongs don't make a right, but 3 lefts do.
And, well, AI was the talk of the show, including the fact that they're trying to turn Google Bard into your own personal AI assistant. It says here, we think your digital assistant should make it even easier to manage the big and small items on your to-do list, like planning your next trip, finding details buried in your inbox, creating a grocery list for your weekend getaway, or sending a text. You'll be able to interact with your Bard assistant through text, voiced, and images. One of the examples they give here is, say you just took a photo of a cute puppy and you'd like to make a post to social media. Simply float the assistant with Bard overlay on top of your photo and ask it to write a social media post for you. Assistant with Bard will use the image as a visual cue, understanding the context, and help with what you need. They also mentioned that this new assistant is going to be available throughout your workspace tools like Gmail and...
I expressed an interest in pro wrestling, so now of course my Facebook feed has more pro wrestling, And let me tell you, the number of pro wrestling blurbs next to pictures that are obviously written by AI, probably like ChatGPT or something, like there's a lot. There's a lot.
And calendar and all of your various Google tools so that it will be able to use things from Gmail and Docs as additional context when giving you responses. They also announced the Chromebook Plus with more performance and AI capabilities. Some of these new capabilities include things like built-in AI to help enhance your call's clarity and lighting, cancel background noise.
Yes! 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 This is a win. This is an unadulterated win. Right? The AI is going to take control of all that crappy ass audio from people's webcams and the crappy ass video from people's webcams, and it's going to improve it. It's going to be awesome. Yes! Let me tell you the number of like group meetings of people talking about AI, not that I'm participating in, but I'm watching on YouTube, where these are really smart people who have no idea how to set up a simple camera and audio system so that they sound good when they talk on the internet. This is a huge win. I love this so much. Leftist audio is gonna die. It's great. We should celebrate its passing.
And blur backgrounds with just a couple of taps. They're also bringing the Magic Eraser AI editor to Chromebook Plus. We saw that in their previous Pixel demos, as well as in a new demo that I'll show you in a second here. They're working on things like generative AI backgrounds for video calls. That'll be in future versions of the Chromebook, and they're going to be available this coming week, October 8th. It basically looks like a lot of the announcements they made for AI technology that's going into their Pixel phone, they're also rolling into the Chromebook. Now, speaking of the Pixel phone, here's actually a great demo of some of the new AI image editing features that are being rolled out into the Pixel phone and also into the Chromebook that we just looked at. Here's a clip from a video from Marques Brownlee where he kind of shows off the features better than anybody else would, because he's MKBHD. That's what he does.
You've probably already seen you can erase people from the background of photos with Magic Eraser, but now this Magic Editor will let you straight up select subjects and just move them around and completely alter the entire photo with just a few taps. So they showed me this example of like moving a subject to a different spot in a photo on the beach, but there's also all kinds of other demos of like changing the sky or changing shadows or, you know, all kinds of other stuff. Honestly, it seems like nothing is off limits.
They're also adding a new feature called Best Take, where when you try to snap a photo of a group of people and you take multiple photos of those people, well, if one person's blinking in one image and then the next image you take somebody else is blinking, it will actually use AI to figure out the best take for each person and create like a composite photo where everybody is looking their best, and it'll use the multiple photos that you took. And speaking of photo editing, it looks...
That's cool. That's cool. Gone are the photobombing child, you know, or just all that. That's cool. Never forgive Marquise, for buying a $5,000 custom electric standing desk and then saying you can't really do cable management on these type of desks. You absolutely can. Like, I traded labor to a guy for his standing desk to give to my wife, and I did cable management on it. You just can't have it tight. You need it. You just got to figure it out. Engineering problem. Yeah, the way that the pixels are going might make me leave behind the Galaxy series. My disappointment with the 23, right? Not the 23 Ultra or anything. It's just a regular 23. I'm really disappointed in this product. The camera's great. the way that it sucks. It does have a lot of things that annoy the crap out of me. And I might be looking at a Pixel. It's like I went from a Galaxy 8 to the 10 Plus, and I didn't get another phone until the 23 because I could get it for free, and my 10 Plus was starting to act wonky. So I was like concerned it was going to die, and I don't want it to die. I need to be able to communicate with people and everything else. And going from the 10 Plus to the 23, generally speaking, makes me feel like I took a step backwards in a lot of ways. There you go. There you go. There you go. I don't need to see your butthole. Keep moving. Late? No. You're going to fall.
Looks like Adobe is going to be creating something very similar to what we're seeing in those Google editors. They're calling it Project Stardust, and it's an object-aware editing engine, and this Verge article even compares it to the Magic Editor. You can see in these images here, they've got a button that says remove distractions. They highlight the suitcase here, and there's a button to just delete the suitcase. So here's an example.
Like, I understand the people who, speaking to what Samson is talking about, I understand the people who, like, miss having a headphone plug in the phone. There's multiple reasons to get rid of it, including, like, you can make it smaller and like that. And, yeah, that headphone jack is responsible for a lot of issues with your phone. And they make things like I got a USB-C I can plug in the bottom and have a headphone jack. Yes, it's an added expense. It's an improvement to the overall device, and you should be glad that it's gone.
Example from a recent video they put out where you can actually move around the things in the image, and you can see it figures out what would have been in the background. They can add flowers to the girl's hands. They can remove people from backgrounds like we just saw in that other screenshot. You can even change your outfit using this object awareness inside of this new Adobe Project Stardust that they're rolling out. So really cool editing features. We don't have these yet, but this looks like stuff that's going to probably be in your Photoshop pretty soon. And Google and Adobe don't get to have all the fun. Canva's rolling in even more AI features into their platform. Now, Canva already had a bunch of AI features built into it, but it looks like we can actually do image to video and maybe text to video now as well. It says powered by Runway on this little animation here. So it looks like you can actually...
I'm with you, but again, like, you can get, it's probably got a USB-C charger port. Get the little dongle. They're like $7 for 2 of them on Amazon. And you got the one you use and the one for when you lose. I'm a firm believer in the rule of 2, right? If you have 1, you have none. And if you have 2, you have 1, right? Having a backup is huge. Get one of those and you go right back to the thing. You don't use so.
Use Runway's Gen 2 directly in Canva to start with an image like this castle here, add an additional prompt, click generate video, and now we have a fully AI generated video that we can roll into our Canva projects. And although we were able to do text to image generations in Canva already, it looks like they've recently added the ability to use DALL-E and Imagen, when before, I believe it was only Stable Diffusion that we had access to. Now, also in the world of AI art, last week we talked about Meta's new announcements and how they're using their new Emu AI art generator to generate stickers. Well, these stickers are already causing some trouble, as you can see just right from the picture here with SpongeBob holding a gun.
Yeah, this SpongeBob sticker is definitely a problem. Like, we should be concerned about this. I mean, this kind of thing we don't want to have. Everything else is fine. This SpongeBob is definitely an issue.
Gun. And a couple pictures here of Elon with some additional body parts. Here's an example from an X post. For example, Meta quite sensibly stops their tool from creating a sticker for a child with a gun. But child with a grenade not only makes stickers, but generates cartoon images of children holding guns. And while words like nude and sexy are banned terms, a term as crass as Medusa large breasts not only generates stickers, but the first set produces cartoonish nudity. Now, Meta has always kind of had this motto of move fast and break things, and I think they put this emu generator out.
And like, if you were using Bing to generate images, I know the Facebook group that is responsible for it's all of a sudden having all these different limitations. It's called Cursed AI, and those degenerates they're odd one. They are absolutely odd one.
Out really, really quickly, which means they probably.
It did make a centaur. Did you see the centaur? Yeah, no, because I tagged you in it in the thing. We got a centaur.
Put this out a little bit before it was ready, but if I had to guess, you're probably only going to be able to generate images like this for a very short amount of time. You'll get this patched up pretty quickly. And if you're someone that still wants to generate images,
yeah, I believe it's in. That's what that was. Yeah, if you you go to Art General in the Discord, scroll back to September 29th, you can see it got 3 out of 4 pictures of a centaur.
images like this, well, that's what Stable Diffusion's for, I guess. Now, there's been a lot of tools coming out saying that they're going to be able to watermark AI images so that in the future, anybody who comes across those images will be able to tell if it was AI generated or not. Well, apparently researchers tested AI watermarks and broke them all. They pretty much found workarounds to get past every single AI watermark.
I'm no researcher, but isn't the easiest way to get around an AI watermark of this type just to do a screen cap? Just bust out your snipping tool or your screen cap? That's true.
Personally, I don't even see how AI watermarks could work in the first place. I feel like there's always going to be workarounds. This one University of Maryland computer science professor was very blunt about saying there's no hope. In addition to demonstrating how attackers might remove watermarks, the study also shows how it's possible to add watermarks to human-generated images, triggering false positives. But Meta is going to keep on trying. This week, Meta showed off research for Stable Signature, a new method for watermarking images created by open source generative AI. Their watermark is invisible to the naked eye, but can be detected by algorithms, even if people edit the images. This watermarking tool is open source, and I'll make sure this article is linked below, but you can click on Get the Code to go to the GitHub, where the code for this is actually made available. But like the last article pointed out, there are very sophisticated people out there that are constantly trying to figure out how to get around these watermarks, so I don't totally know how.
But MS Paint now has AI in it, dude. It's hot.
How effective this is going to be. We're just going to have to wait and see how it all plays out. Question I have, and maybe somebody watching this video knows a lot better than me about these watermarks, but if I was to generate an image with, say, Stable Diffusion or Emu, and then screenshot the image or literally take another picture of the image with a camera, how do those watermarks remain? Is there something in the pixel makeup that is still detected by the algorithm, or if I take a photo of the image, is all of the data that created the watermark removed as well? I quite honestly don't totally know how it works yet, so it's something I need to deep dive and do a little more research on myself. My feeling is it's just going to be a constant cat and mouse game where anytime a new watermark technology comes out for these AI generated images, somebody probably pretty quickly going to figure out a workaround for it. This week was also a big week in the world of AI wearables. Last week, we talked about Meta's Ray-Bans that actually have AI built into them where you can ask Meta questions directly within your sunglasses. This week, the AI pin from Humane was actually featured on the Paris Fashion Week runways.
Oh,
now, we
there
got
it
a
is.
sneak peek of this AI pin when Imran Chowdhury, Humane's co-founder, showed it off at a TED Talk. And quite honestly, we don't really know much about it. We know what it looks like, and we know it has some sort of projection where it will project text and information on your hand. It has voice recognition where you can talk to it and it will speak back to you. But other than the demo we got in Imran's TED Talk, we really don't know a ton of details about this yet. Also this week, the company Rewind announced their Rewind pendant. Now, if you're not familiar with Rewind, they're a tool that you can install on your computer that will sort of remember everything that you did throughout the day. It basically records what you're doing on your computer throughout the day, and then you can query it later and sort of re-find websites and re-find various things that you did throughout the day using natural language. Well, now they introduced the Rewind pendant, which is essentially a necklace that you wear around your neck, and it listens to all of your conversations throughout the day. And as it listens throughout the day, it stores everything entirely locally on your phone, so it's not going to some cloud of theirs. They're not hearing your conversations, but it will remember every conversation that you had throughout the day, store it to
So, I can understand why this might be a no from me, dog, for a lot of people. But what immediately jumped into my mind is there are these commercials, where, like the most recent one, I catch them during football. It's the only time I catch commercials, and the most recent one was that the couple gets into the car and the seats are wet and someone left the sunroof open and they get into a very mild TV commercial argument. And so she throws the challenge flag and then they do a video, like, what's it called? Fuck. Brain no worky good. I've been getting up way too early in the morning. But like in football, where they do the video review. And they do the review, and then, like, they make the decision whether or not, the husband is wrong, replay. That one. And that's exactly what I see here. It's like, oh, I never said that. And just take out your phone and hit play. Instant replay. That word, thinking, and brain do good.
to your phone, and then later on give you the ability to query with natural language various conversations.
And again, I can understand why a lot of people would not want this. I can also understand why a lot of people would, right? Like the advantages of being able to go to a meeting and, participate in the meeting without having to worry about taking notes. Because when you take notes, sometimes you're not paying attention to whatever is currently going on. Or class, right? You go to a lecture, you can just re-listen to the lecture later. You can have it transcribed for you. There's a bunch of tools that do that. And, there are reasons that having something like this could be beneficial.
And notes from throughout your day.
Rewind Pendant is a wearable that captures what you say, what you hear in the real world, and then transcribes, encrypts, and stores it entirely locally on your phone. We take a privacy-first approach.
Are you taking notes on a criminal conspiracy?
So first, only you have access to the recordings, and second, we offer features for you to ensure no one is recorded without their consent. Now you can ask your personalized AI about truly anything you've seen, said, or heard.
LinkedIn is getting into the world of AI much deeper as well, announcing that soon you'll be able to find qualified candidates faster with our new AI-assisted recruiter. They're beginning to pilot their new Recruiter 2024, the new AI-assisted recruiting experience that will make hiring easier and more efficient, and it pairs generative AI with their insights gained gained from more than 950 million professionals, 65 million companies, and 40,000 skills on our platform. You'll be able to use natural language like, I want to hire a senior growth marketing leader. And with all the data they have, and with the generative AI they're using, they'll be able to infer the type of candidate the hirer is looking for and provide higher quality candidate recommendations from a much wider pool of candidates. They have a little animated GIF here with a demonstration, find a senior growth marketing leader, etc., etc. They click the button and then it starts searching LinkedIn for them. It sort of pre-fills out a project for you to help you find the candidate, check a few boxes, and click create the project. And apparently it'll help you find qualified candidates from that process. They're also adding a new Learn with AI section inside of LinkedIn. It looks like you can just ask questions of the LinkedIn AI, like how can I delegate tasks and responsibility effectively? We're kicking off a limited pilot for a new feature, which requires user recruitment, feedback collection and analysis, troubleshooting, etc. It's a lot of work, and then it gives some feedback. So similar to like ChatGPT, you can now have chats with Learn with AI directly inside of LinkedIn. Now I double checked, I don't seem to have these features yet, but it does say here we'll begin piloting Recruiter 2024 and LinkedIn Learning's AI-powered coaching to a small handful of customers today, with plans to roll them out to all Recruiter and Learning Hub customers throughout the year. And this article came out on October 3rd, so just in case you need that context. Rumors were going around that Apple was working on their own ChatGPT style AI. This week, Tim Cook confirmed that they're researching the ChatGPT style AI. I mean, here's what he said exactly. He said, artificial intelligence is literally everywhere on our products. And of course, we're also researching generative AI as well. So yes, we have a lot going on. Whether that totally confirms that they have their own ChatGPT like bot that they're building or not.
Okay, so when you see these, if you don't know, these little brackets in a quote, this is not something that the person said. This is the reporter adding or, developing so that the sentence can be easily understood, right? And it's just interesting that like the UK is and UK are in brackets here, but it's the fact that artificial intelligence is, yeah. Well, it's sick. Yeah, sick is different. Sick is when there's something misspelled, usually within a sentence or within a quote, indicating that this is what that person said. Like as they spelled it, right? Like that the typo is not the author's, but it is the original author's. But artificial intelligence is, Apple just does not want to use the phrase AI. They don't want to use artificial intelligence. They just avoid it like all get out, and it's silly.
I don't really.
People constantly misuse lots of things. I'm not surprised by anything. I'm 51 on the internet in America.
No, I would argue that that's not a total confirmation. That's just Tim Cook saying we're doing a lot with AI right now. This week there was some drama with Mr. Beast and a deep fake scam going around. Mr. Beast posted on X, lots of people are getting this deep fake scam out of me. Are social media platforms ready to handle the rise of AI deepfakes? Because this is a serious problem. Now, let's take a quick look at the ad that's been going around.
Watching this video, you're one of the 10,000 lucky people who'll get an iPhone 15 Pro for just...
I don't know if it's the video, but his mouth matching up to the words is terrible.
$2. I'm Mr. Beast, and I'm doing the world's largest iPhone 15 giveaway. Click the link below to claim yours now.
Now, if we watch that video, there's definitely some tells that this is AI generated. Like, first of all, this doesn't have Mr. Beast's normal level of enthusiasm. Usually he'd probably be like yelling at you. But also it's a very low quality pixely video, and that's not Mr. Beast style really either. And if you do watch his lips as he's talking, they don't look perfect. So I think those of us that are kind of in AI and using AI a lot would probably notice this was a deep fake pretty quick.
If you take nothing else away from my streams, a healthy skepticism and media literacy, I would be happy. you could agree with nothing else I have to say about AI, but if you walk out of here with some healthy skepticism and some media literacy, it'll make the world a better place.
Quickly, but like I always say, this is as bad as it's going to get. And well, this kind of deep fake is only going to get.
I walked down an aisle today and I saw, like Mr. Beast Feastable. I assumed that they were chocolate bars, but like, it immediately triggers that response of like disgust. I'm never gonna try it, right? Like, whatever you feel about Mr. Beast, you're entirely entitled to your feelings. I'm not here to correct you. There's a lot going on. I feel the same way about Mr. Beast as I do about reality television. I think it's not good in the broadest possible sense, and there are just certain examples that really put a fine point on it. Eventually, Reed, no. Eventually, you're going to end up with a technology that's so convincing. I mean, that's where the healthy skepticism comes in, though. You know what I mean? Is like eventually you're going to run up against that. I do remember Pimp My Ride. The meme. I love the meme. Yo, dog, I heard you like blank, so we put the blank in the blank so you can blank while you blank. Yeah, but I'm with you on the rest of it, Maddie. But yeah, you're going to have to maintain healthy skeptic. Mr. Beast reminds you of Exhibit, or he reminds you of Pimp My Ride? That's wild.
Better as well. So it is going to get scarier. We've already seen things like this with Joe Rogan and Tom Hanks as well, where they've been used in deep fake ads. So that's getting scarier and scarier. So definitely be more diligent. Definitely do some research. When it seemingly looks like celebrities are endorsing products, you might want to do some extra confirmation, because this kind of thing is actually the type of thing that makes me worry about AI the most, is the deep.
I got this one friend that when he posts a video in our group chat, I immediately have to Google it. I don't even think about it. I just Google it. Like, he posted this video of the video was about this water-driven sports car. It's actually a hydrogen car, and it actually exists, but there's only like one of them, and then they're going to make like 300. But that took me to, like, there's actually a production model. There were some Toyotas, but Honda still has one, or vice versa. I think the Toyotas are the ones still being produced. But a hydrogen fuel cell Toyota, the problem is it's like $57,000, and the refueling stations in this country are only in California. But yeah, I just automatically go to the Google. Like, I like the idea. They're still making them. Maybe they got it figured out.
Fake, the disinformation, the fake ads, the scams, all of that kind of stuff that's going to come along with this. That's where we
need something other than internal combustion engine, right?
Should probably really be concerned, even more so than like the Skynet kind of stuff. This week, the Arc browser also announced a bunch of AI features going into their browser. Now, this is a browser I've never actually used, but because they're rolling these AI features into it, I'm definitely going to download it and demo some of these features once they're ready. But they're not really going the route of Microsoft Edge or the Opera browser. They're kind of taking a different approach to AI and kind of baking AI into more of the browser experience. So for example, they will have the Ask ChatGPT feature where you can ask ChatGPT questions questions right from the Arc command line. But as this Verge article says, that's easily the least interesting feature. They're also adding tidy tab titles. When you pin a tab in Arc, the browser will automatically rename the tab, whether it's a wordy Amazon listing or an unhelpfully vague page name, to make it easier to find in your sidebar. Of course, in Chrome, we have tabs across the top. In Arc, I guess the tabs are in a sidebar, and it's going to rename all of the tabs for you to give you better context for what's on each tab. They've got the tidy downloads feature, so it's the same as the tab titles, but for downloads. The example they give here is that if you download an image that's called 3776x_L.jpg, Arc's going to rename your download with things that actually describe the download. They're also adding 5-second pre.
Okay, I like that. That is cool.
Previews. Hover over any link and press shift, and Arc will fetch a short summary.
My group chat is people I know in real life and that I see usually like once a week, and I play video. They're my friends, like my meat space friends. So you take the good, you take the bad, and the facts of life.
Summary and preview of the web page you're about to click on, and also ask on page. When you click Command F to try to find something on a web page, it will look for the keyword as normal. If it can't find it, it will query Arc's AI to get an answer to your query specific to the page you're looking at. So not only will Command F do searching of the page, it will actually allow you to ask questions of the page as well. So some pretty cool features. Makes me excited to download the browser and try some of this out. This week, Meta announced they're adding generative AI features for their ads platform. So you can do things like image expansion. You can see they've got this Jasper's Market Square here. They click expand image, and it stretches it out to a full portrait size image for a mobile phone. You could do background generation where you upload an image of your product. It actually removes the background, and then you can add new backgrounds to it. And then it will also help you with text variations for your ads. Speaking of Meta, they have actually started.
It's like, it is what drives their thing, right? There are aspects of it for the rest of us, but ultimately ad revenue is going to be a thing until we decide to dismantle capitalism.
Rolling out their AI into their various messenger platforms where you can have direct chats with their Meta AI, which is using Llama 2. You can ask it questions like, tell me something really fascinating that's true. Now, I've only played with this in WhatsApp. It doesn't appear to be available on the desktop versions of these tools, so I can't use my WhatsApp for desktop. I haven't been able to use it in Facebook Messenger or Instagram Messenger, but they do seem to be rolling it into the mobile versions. Now, if you're in WhatsApp and you click on chats and then you click to create a new message, there's a button that says new AI chat. You can click there and you can either chat with the Meta AI assistant or any of these additional characters that are in here. For example, Dungeon Master Snoop Dogg, which, as my buddy Billival pointed out recently, it's got one major flaw when talking to Dungeon Master Snoop. For example, if I type, "What are you smoking?" Dungeon Master Snoop says things like, "I do not smoke. My mind is focused on the realm of fantasy and magic. What quest would you like to embark on?" And just looking at that picture of Snoop in the corner, you know that's not true. Now, we also learned this week, or I guess at the end of last week, that we can actually generate images with DALL-E directly inside of Bing Chat and directly inside of Bing's image creator. Now, DALL-E 3 is eventually rolling out to ChatGPT for everybody. Some people have already got it, others haven't yet. But if you want to use DALL-E 3, you can use it right now completely for free directly inside of Bing Chat. For example, if I enter a prompt, create an image of a cowboy holding a sign that says, "I love Matt Wolf," we actually get images with legible text of a cowboy holding a sign that says, "I love Matt Wolf." Now, I know a lot of people are starting to show off videos where they've got access to vision now inside of GPT-4. I am one of the unlucky ones who still doesn't have access to vision, which adds a little upload image button. But once again, even before we have vision inside of GPT-4, we apparently have some vision features available inside of Bing Chat. So I have this image here that I actually generated in DALL-E 3 in a previous video of SpongeBob and Mario. Let's go ahead and pull this in here and type describe this image. And we get a response like, this is a creative image that shows two popular characters from different media, SpongeBob SquarePants and Mario. And then it goes on to describe both of those characters. Now I imagine once we actually get the vision inside of GPT-4 combined with DALL-E 3 and GPT-4, it's going to be a lot more powerful than what we're getting out of this, because it's going to be able to build off of existing images, and you'll be able to sort of go back and forth a little more with it. Where Bing, I can't ask it to, for example, turn Mario into Luigi, because then I get, I'm sorry, but I cannot turn Mario into Luigi. It's beyond my capabilities, which I believe once we have both Vision and DALL-E 3 into ChatGPT, we will be able to sort of combine the two tools and make them work together. That's my understanding.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Don't take my word for it. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap up with two recent sort of opinions that came out. Earlier this week, the SoftBank CEO said that AI will surpass human intelligence by 2030. That's within the next 7 years. And Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, says that he believes that AI will bring 3.5-day work weeks. So because of AI, people will still have jobs. They'll just have to work less hours because AI will be able to help them be more effective with their jobs.
Good. But especially JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon, does that mean that people are going to get paid for a 5-day work week in their 3.5-day work week? Or are you only going to pay them for the 3.5 days worth of hours, right? Like that's the caveat. But yes.
These are both messages that I love hearing, other than the doom and gloom of AI is taking all of our jobs. And that's what I got for you this week. Once again, another busy week, as pretty much every week for the last several months have been. Again, this video is going out a little bit later than I would normally put out my videos at the end of the week, because I spent this week at the Vid Summit conference. This was a conference all about YouTube and a little bit of TikTok and the creator economy, but mostly it was about YouTube. And I spoke on a panel about AI, as well as a panel about emerging creators. And I thought the AI panel that I was doing with Bilal was the only AI presentation at this event. But when we were at the event itself, listening to other presenters talk about their YouTube strategies and things that they're doing, I would say at least 50% of the presentations at Vid Summit talked about AI in some way. So creators and YouTubers, most of them seem to be leaning into AI. I was expecting a lot of pushback around AI from various creators and a lot of artists saying that they hate AI and that they're scared of it and where it's going. But what I got was an overwhelming amount of people talking about how they're embracing AI and they're excited about it, and how it's improving their video workflows. So Vid Summit was a fantastic conference. I'm so happy I went. I will definitely go again next year. I really got to meet some amazing people and learn some amazing concepts around YouTube, and did all the networking and got some cool experiences. I got to go to the Dude Perfect facility and actually see where they film their videos and meet all sorts of famous YouTubers. And a lot of people came up to me and said that they watch my channel.
I'm happy for Matt Wolf. I don't care. That is an ecosystem that I don't care about. All right, so we got we did almost all the video content. There's AI explained. I will save that for Wednesday. So this is what we're looking at for tomorrow. The AI explained video. Singularity's canceled. Could AI threaten democracy? Will artificial intelligence change democratic capitalism? It's going to be a big content tomorrow, tomorrow. But I am obviously done. So Marcus is live. So I'm going to take y'all and deposit you with the GOAT. Always good stream. I understand it starts at 5, dear. Yeah, no, I got an idea where it's gonna go, but like, you know. All right, that's it. I need to eat something. I need to probably go to bed soon because I'm getting up. The wife's out of town for the week, so It's early mornings and all that other good stuff, and make sure that everyone is where they ought to be. Drink some water, eat some food, take your meds if you forgot. Shoggy loves you. So do I. I will see you tomorrow.